brought her to my doctor's appointment. That's disrespectful. I asked him, I was like, the day after my son was born, I said, you can come up here and see the baby. He said, oh no, I'm
and what does it matter if I drop him off? I was the only one willing to give him a ride to see his own kid.
That's disrespectful.
I have kids. I know what it's like being a single mom, and I would not be with Jesse if he would not take care of responsibility.
She cheated on me on my birthday.
I did not cheat on you.
She was gone with her ex on my birthday, and then come crawling back after that.
She was gone with Mr. Dallas or somebody else?
Somebody else. There could be more than one person that she's been with.
It's not true, Your Honor.
Ms. Clark says Mr. Newby bailed when she got pregnant because his new girlfriend, Ms. Faulkner, filled his head with doubts. Mr. Newby claims Ms. Clark was seeing someone else, and if he is the dad, wants custody because he thinks she's unfit. And just when it seems messy enough, the emotions explode.
Ms. Clark, you claim that you and the defendant, Mr. Newby, dated for only 3 months before you became pregnant with his baby. You say the relationship was moving forward until he left you for a woman you claim is old enough to be his mother. It is your belief that she is the reason Mr. Newby is denying paternity.
Ms. Clark shares her tough past. Her dad's decided to eliminate himself, her mom's death, and addiction struggles during pregnancy. She admits to using drugs while pregnant, but says jail helped her clean up. The crowd applauds her turnaround, but the drama's far from over. Because, of course, it's paternity court, and it only gets messier.
Your Honor, when I met him, I was in drug use, but, you know, we were together for 3 months. When he left me, I felt abandonment because when I was younger, at 13 years old, my dad had hung himself because of drug use. And then 5 years later, my mother had died when I was 18 years old because of cancer. So when he left me when I was 7 months pregnant, I felt abandonment and pain and agony.
Mr. Newby's suspicions take center stage. He thinks Ms. Clark cheated, and others kept feeding his doubts. He was initially excited about the pregnancy, even showed off the sonogram, but the gossip got to him. Then things take a strange turn involving fake baby photos.
When she first went to jail, she would call me, and yeah, I would talk to her because I was thinking that the baby might possibly be mine. I've had my doubts from the very beginning. She's constantly lied. She's cheated on me with her ex, like, what, 3-4 times?
No, only once. You know, you had doubts about being a father or whatever, then why'd you have this picture taken with me with the first ultrasound and being happy about being a father?
Things get weird when Ms. Clark admits sending Mr. Newby a random baby photo from the internet. Yep, a total internet baby to test if he cared. It only made Mr. Newby more suspicious. And that's not the end. Next up, it's all about hospital visits and boundary disputes.
Well, it was a picture of the internet. It sent him the picture, but I was just upset because
why
he had left me to see if he would like show any interest of seeing his son because he wasn't doing that.
You showed him a picture of a fake baby as if the baby had born.
Yeah,
yes.
A newborn baby. I got a picture on my cell phone. While I was at work, I showed my manager and ran home.
Hospital drama kicks off as Ms. Clark accuses Mr. Newby of showing up to appointments with Ms. Faulkner. She calls it disrespectful, while Ms. Faulkner claims she was just giving a ride. Clearly, no one's on the same page, and now they're arguing about who pays for what.
He brought her to my doctor's appointment. That's disrespectful. I asked him, I was like, the day after my son was born, I said, you can come up here and see the baby. He said, oh no, I'm
and what does it matter if I drop him off? I was the only one willing to give him a ride to see his own kid.
That's disrespectful.
I have kids. I know what it's like being a single mom, and I would not be with Jesse if he would not take care of responsibility.
Ms. Clark accuses Mr. Newby of barely helping with the baby. He says he tried, but Ms. Clark always refused anything from Ms. Faulkner. Judge Lake jumps in, urging Mr. Newby to take more responsibility. But you can tell this fight is far from over, especially as the fitness to raise the child gets questioned.
I would call him and ask him if he can watch him or whatever, if he wants to see him. He said, I can't right now.
That is not true.
I want to take care of the baby. I tried taking care of the baby. You would not.
And when we bought stuff for the baby, she refused. She said, because Joanne got it, I don't want it. Because I bought it. She did not want to receive the gifts. And she did not want to want it.
But it's not your responsibility. It's his.
Our money is combined.
Yeah, the money.
I don't care.
Mr. Newby claims Ms. Clark is unfit because she used drugs while pregnant. Judge Lake points out Ms. Clark's efforts to get clean. And even Mr. Newby admits she's improved. It's all leading up to the big moment. The DNA results are about to be revealed.
How are you going to be 7 months pregnant and then stick a needle into both of your guys' bodies?
But I
like that baby had to go through that for no reason. She didn't even give him a chance.
Ms. Clark admitted that was an absolute irresponsible action, which was inexcusable. I heard her say that. Mr. Newby, you are the father.
Ms. Holshoe storms into court claiming her mom had a fling with the defendant's dad, making her their sister. The Howard sisters are furious and call her a liar. Ms. Holshoe points out her name in the dad's obituary, and the drama levels up with more accusations.
Ms. Holshoe, you claim your mother had an affair with the defendant's father, and today you're in court to prove that he is your biological father. Ms. Howard, you and your sisters say Ms. Holshoe is a delusional troublemaker whose promiscuous mother destroyed your family and ruined your home.
Ms. Holshoe says she has terminal cancer and wants closure on her dad. She heard about her real dad when her drunk stepdad spilled the tea during a fight. Her mom confirmed it, and things got messy from there.
I've recently learned that I have terminal cancer, and I'd like to have family history, and I also, which I know they don't want to, but I would also like to, because my stepdad was drunk, he was fighting with my mother, and he said, well, who do you think your father is? And so after that, my mother told me. She took me and introduced me to DL. We had a relationship from then on.
The Howard sisters admit their dad once mentioned Ms. Holshoe might be their sister, but brush it off, claiming her mom slept around. The courtroom erupts into a messy argument, feeling like a Thanksgiving dinner gone bad.
One time when I was 19 years old, my dad, he was in from California. My parents were already divorced. We were in from California. He had us all meet him out at a country bar. We showed up, that and her mother was there. And after about a half hour, we had some drinks and stuff, and my dad
I don't even remember that, and she's lying, and I'm not a that. If anybody's a that, look over there.
Whatever the case may be.
The sisters talk about their dads cheating, but refuse to believe Ms. Holshoe. They share details from their lives, like detectives solving a case they want to ignore, throwing in some mean comments about her mom.
I was in California living with my father. We had packed up our things and moved out because my father had gone to at the bar where her mother was working and caught her cheating on him. Probably has no idea who any of her children belong to.
It's not my fault you guys don't want to know me. It's not my fault that your dad had sex with my mother, and I'm a product of that.
Ms. Holshoe says she was invited to a Howard family reunion by Mr. Howard, but the sisters lose it, calling her a liar. She claims they chased her out, which the sisters deny. It's turning into a real soap opera.
Your Honor, Mr. Howard invited me to a Howard family reunion.
Lies.
It was at Guilford Lake.
That is a total lie.
How does she know where the reunion is if she was invited or someone didn't tell her?
Your Honor, I have been to every single family reunion.
And I have been
she
to...
has never been.
Is it held at that location?
I'm sure that she has this information because she's gone from my other sister.
Kelly Howard says she believes Ms. Holshoe because their dad literally introduced her as her sister. Everyone is left wondering if their dad ever thought this situation would end well.
Well, we were out one day, and I was about 19, and he said that he wanted me to meet one of his girlfriends. Met several of them before. So we go to Lynn's mother. He introduces me to her as my sister. We just went about our way after that, and I just took it as for what it was and just...
You never questioned it?
No. Our dad never lied to us.
Judge Lake reveals the DNA results.
That the probability of half-siblingship between Diana Howard and Misty Lynn Holshoe is 98.1%.
Two moms, Miss Taylor and Miss Johnson, team up against Mr. Barber, accusing him of being a deadbeat dad. They want over $7,000 in child support, and they're not holding back. This is just the start of the chaos. Things are about to get messy.
Miss Taylor and Miss Johnson, you both claim that you were pregnant at the same time with the defendant, Mr. Barber's children.
Yes, Your Honor.
You argue that he has not been a father to your kids and refuses to support them, but takes care of his other child.
Mr. Barber blames the moms for wanting too much money and causing drama. Miss Taylor claims he only cares about one kid because he's still sneaking around with that mom. It's like a soap opera, and the drama is just heating up.
The only reason you can't support the children you have with Miss Taylor and Miss Johnson is because they ask for too much money. They create too much drama. Why do you believe he supports his other child and not yours?
I believe that he supports his other child because he's still sleeping with his other child's mother. No, we're not. He had 3 women pregnant at the same time. He is a dog.
Mr. Barber's phone rings in court, making everyone laugh while the judge glares. He admits being the dad, but denies being a bad one, which makes Miss Taylor snap. This moment is funny, awkward, and just the tip of the drama iceberg.
What we aren't gonna do is talk at the same time. Mr. Barber, is somebody calling you? Jerome, answer it and see if it's a woman. They probably never call back again if they find out paternity court.
Cut it off? Probably would.
Miss Taylor says she gave birth alone, while Mr. Barber flirted on his phone. He blames work, but she's not buying it. This is just leading to more tension.
I had my daughter by myself. My mother's deceased. My family could not get there. I called him and told him that I was being induced. He stayed for 24 hours. You know, when you get induced, you never know when the baby's gonna come. He stayed for the first 24 hours and he left. I called him and I said, I'm 10 centimeters, I'm getting ready to push. He didn't come.
Judge Lake scolds everyone for all the shouting, saying it hurts the kids. She compares their constant fighting to nails on a chalkboard. The moms roll their eyes, and Mr. Barber tries to act calm. Let's see if anyone steps up.
But when you two go speak, I took a moment to just observe you. You go to not level 10, level 20 in a matter of 2 seconds, and there's no understanding, no communication. And all I'm sitting and thinking is, I am an adult, judge of this court, used to watching people in dispute yell and scream. I can only imagine.
Mr. Barber says he grew up in group homes and didn't learn to care for others. He now works as an engineer and wants to do better. The judge isn't convinced. Excuses don't pay for diapers.
A lot myself. I was still a kid. We were having kids. I've been in group homes since I was 12 years old. All I know how to do is take care of myself for the better part of my children. And I was doing music. I've been doing music since I was 12 years old. Continued to do music. I went to school. I got a degree so I could be able to take care of my children. One thing my father always told me is if you can't take care of yourself, how are you going to take care of children? And I have 3. I don't have 1.
Miss Taylor says she's only gotten 2 packs of diapers in 5 years. Miss Johnson says Mr. Barber barely bought 3 outfits for her son. And there's more. A 3rd baby mama is about to join.
He bought my daughter 2 packs of diapers.
And how old is your daughter?
My daughter is 5 years old.
I never got 2 packs. I never got a pack.
And Miss Johnson, you saying you never got?
He never bought my son no diapers. I made do whatever I had to do to get my son diapers. He bought my son 3 pairs of shoes and 3 outfits.
Miss Cooper, the 3rd mom, actually defends Mr. Barber, calling the others bitter. She claims he's great with her kid. The room gets awkward, but the financial drama isn't over.
Do you feel like he treats your child differently?
No, I don't. I feel like he loves all his kids the same. I just feel like me and him have came to a common ground to co-parent. Our relationship and what we've been through, none of that matters.
Is he good?
Yes, he is. Very well.
Love.
She's a daddy's girl. She only wants to be with him.
Judge Lake awards Miss Taylor $3,608 and Miss Johnson $3,180. She tells Mr. Barber being a dad is more than just photo ops. It's like a game show where nobody wins.
You know, it is this court's opinion that Miss Taylor is in fact entitled to $3,608 in back child care expenses. Did you also bring receipts and information for the court regarding your claim?
And I also have a text message between me and Mr. Barber where he stood my son up on his 5th birthday.
Judge Lake gives Mr. Barber a reality check. Time to grow up and stop letting his kids down. The moms hope he takes it seriously. It ends on a hopeful note, but this drama feels far from over.
When you got these women pregnant, you didn't know who you were. But now you said you found yourself. You know what you're passionate about. Learn to be an engineer. And when you have a client, you don't want to let the client down. You don't want to let your child. You have to now step up to the plate and be that father that you want to be.
Wow, this episode kicks off with fireworks. Miss Jackson is in court to face her husband's mistress and prove the mistress's baby isn't her husband's. Oh, and she's ready to end her marriage if she's wrong. Yep, it's going to be one of those cases. Let's go. Discovery of the affair.
Miss Jackson, you say you're here to confront your husband's mistress and to prove her 1-month-old daughter, Kiesha, is not his biological daughter.
Your Honor.
Furthermore, you say you learned today that the child is in fact your husband's. Your marriage is over.
That's right, Your Honor.
Things get real when Miss Jackson tells the story of how she found out her husband was sneaking around. Oh, but Miss Jackson wasn't having it. This was just the warm-up round of the drama.
I got an epiphany. Call it woman's intuition, whatever you want. Well, I went to my husband's job. It was about 9:30 or 10:30 at night. He approached the car. We talked for a few minutes. To end our conversation, I told him, feel as though there's something going on that you hadn't told me, because he had been distant in the days prior to. I had put him out.
The mistress, Miss Lipscomb, tries to explain herself. And her story, it's wild. She says Mr. Jackson told her he wasn't married, even though he was rocking a wedding ring. But instead of smelling the lies, she bought his excuse. It's about to get even messier, so stick around.
When she came to their job, why did she come up there or why didn't she come up there? I've never seen her a day in my life. I knew her voice. I was sitting up, Mr. Jackson, and she calls and the kids calls. That's how I know her voice so high pitched. You can hear her through the phone. My BM, which is my baby mother. BM does not spell wife. Wife is spelled W-I-F.
Oh, she
not
can spell,
BM.
Your Honor. Wow.
Imagine catching your husband's mistress chilling in a hotel room you're paying for. Yeah, That happened. Miss Jackson recalls finding Miss Lipscomb at the hotel and letting her know exactly who the boss is. Spoiler alert, this showdown gets even crazier when Mr. Jackson shows up later.
Maybe a week after that, I was talking to, because my husband went to jail that night, Your Honor. I was angry enough. It was an impulsive decision, and I understand it was not the right decision, Your Honor, because I knew that he had some legal issues going on in another state. The next morning, I go to the room, find Miss Lipscomb laying in the bed crying.
I told you I was going back to the room, talking to me.
Oh, here comes Mr. Jackson, looking like he just walked into a tornado. He admits he never told Miss Lipscomb he was married, saying, "She didn't ask." Really? That's the excuse? The judge isn't buying it, and honestly, neither are we. What happens next is gold. Miss Jackson's generosity.
Ms. Lipscomb says she had no idea you had a wife.
No, she didn't, because I never mentioned it to her, Your Honor.
So that part of her statement is true. You never told her you were married.
No, Your Honor.
When Miss Lipscomb first started talking, I didn't believe for 1 minute that she didn't really know you were married, and confirmed the lie.
Oh, I didn't tell her no lie. I just never mention it to her. She never asked.
You think Miss Jackson would be done, right? Nope. She actually bought baby stuff for the mistress's kid because she felt bad. She thought the drama was over, but surprise, Miss Lipscomb admits the affair never really stopped. This mess is nowhere near cleaned up.
Not only have we had conversations, before I didn't deny the child, I went and bought over $900 and some worth of stuff for her baby. Like I told her, from the conversation, Your Honor, she seemed really distraught. She said that, "I don't know how it feels not to know who your child's father is, Your Honor. Whether it's my husband's child or not, out of the kindness of my heart, Your Honor, I understand that we all have shortcomings."
Just when you think it's bad enough, Miss Jackson drops another bomb. Miss Lipscomb might have had another boyfriend during all this. She even brings receipts, aka Facebook posts, to prove it. Let's just say, things are starting to feel more like a soap opera in real life. Hang tight.
I found out when I was in jail, because I guess the beginning of the year, her birthday time, she got sick and went to the hospital. And my wife told me that she said she was pregnant then.
On her Facebook page, Your Honor, she had listed that she was going to the hospital. At that time, Your Honor, she was with another man, and I have evidence.
This piece of evidence shows that she was also dealing with another man.
Yes, Your Honor.
Oh, but Mr. Jackson didn't just sign the birth certificate. He was at the hospital. He put this baby on his wife's military benefits too. Like, that's not a big deal. The audacity, off the charts. And you already know, Miss Jackson is not about to let that slide.
He didn't cut the cord, but he was there.
So he did come for the birth?
Yes.
Mr. Jackson, did you sign the birth certificate?
Yes.
You did?
So if it's not his child, why would he sign the birth certificate? Even more to speak on her
behalf.
behalf.
Mr. Jackson, you've acknowledged paternity.
Yes.
Your Honor, that's why the baby was placed on my benefit.
The baby is what?
Anything for my
Placed on my
child.
benefit, Your Honor. I also have proof of that.
At this point, the whole courtroom is on edge as these two women go back and forth like it's the finals in a shouting competition. Miss Lipscomb says Miss Jackson is just using the baby as a reason to divorce Mr. Jackson. The judge steps in to say, enough already, but trust me, the next part is going to leave you shook.
Oh, I just believe she wants to know if this is his child so she can divorce him. Don't use my child as a crutch. If you want to divorce him, divorce him. Don't use my child as a crutch. This woman is delusional. The whole time I was pregnant,
I'm delusional,
she swore
but I'm
that
married
she
and
was
you're mixing
pregnant.
with my husband.
She's been pregnant 4 times since I have had my daughter. Right here,
not
that
telling
she
you
sent
that
me
I'm
in
pregnant
May.
now. That's
You
the part
sent me
that
an
you hadn't
ultrasound.
admitted
I told you every time.
The moment everyone's been waiting for. The DNA test comes back, and boom.
When it comes to 1-month-old Keasia Jackson, Mr. Jackson, you are not the father.
This kicks off like a reality show where nobody's winning. Mr. Burridge says he's been played and wants his name off the birth certificate, plus his money back for childcare. Mrs. Stephanies is fed up, saying Burridge was a great dad until now. Things are already wild, but they're about to get wilder.
Mr. Barrage, you've dragged Miss Stephens to court because you say you're being played for a fool. And when today's DNA results prove that you are not her daughter, father, you demand that your name be removed from her birth certificate and you be reimbursed for the past 8 months of child care expenses.
Both had side flings. Welcome to the world's messiest love triangle. Burridge admits he had a girlfriend while seeing Miss Stephanies, who also had another guy. Miss Stephanies says Burridge knew what he was getting into, but things turned awkward real fast. If you thought this was messy, just wait, there's more.
I also had another woman on the side, and you had another guy on the side.
And I never knew it was a girlfriend. We were together every day since the first day we started hanging out.
No.
But when I sent you the pregnancy test and told you I was pregnant, you said what? I'm gonna be in her life. That's my child. You was there there, you signed the birth certificate, cut the umbilical cord. I didn't force you to do anything. You chose to do that willingly because you felt obviously that she was your child.
That's like a soap opera crossed with a bad rom-com. Burrage claims he was trapped into this baby, saying she wanted him away from his girlfriend. Ms. Stephanie says he chose to be there because he liked how she treated her kids. The judge looks like she needs a lie detector test for this one. But hey, it's just getting started.
That's my child. I'm going to be in his or her life. He's saying that I was just something to do, but that was never my impression. Me and Fernando, we was together all the time. It wasn't no one night stand. We was together consistently every day. I didn't think we were in a relationship, but I thought it was more because I knew that my intentions was to get more than what it was.
And you also said this to me talking like you gonna try to take me away from my girl. You know what I'm saying? Trying to set me up, trying to trap me.
This is nosy neighbor heaven. Gossip galore. Burrage says neighbors told him Stephanie's was seeing half the block, making him question if the baby was his. He even points out the baby's complexion is too different. Ms. Stephanie's rolls her eyes like she's had enough of this nonsense. The judge starts piecing things together, but it only gets weirder.
I didn't know how many guys she slept with. Guys coming out the blue in the neighborhood while I stay, just come out the blue. I hit that, I hit that.
And he's going off what other people saying. Ask him, does he know anything that's for sure? Not what people are saying.
Do you know for sure? Do you have any proof of this?
I have proof, Your Honor. For one, Your Honor, I don't have light blue, green, hazel eyes, Your Honor. That's for one.
The other guy has light eyes.
Yes, Your Honor.
This part is either touching or hilarious. Burrage shares he didn't have a dad growing up and didn't want the same for Phelan, but now feels foolish. Ms. Stephanie says she thought Burrage was her ride or die, now feels humiliated. Just when things seem settled, bam, a twist.
I really don't know who my father is because my name ain't on the birth certificate other than what my mother tell me, but ain't no name on the birth certificate. On my generation, my close in that family all the way to like 1874. And like far as our genetic code, we got big eyes, big nose, big lip. That baby got light eyes, little nose.
From you, Mr. Burrage, she's my child also. She can have my genes.
Things just got crazier. Ms. Stephanie's reveals she's 5 months pregnant with Burrage's baby. Burrage says she trapped him again, while she insists otherwise. The judge looks like she could use a coffee break, and honestly, same. But the drama isn't over yet.
My biological mom wasn't in my life, nor my father. I didn't meet him till I was 12. And ain't no telling if that's my biological father. Why would I put my children? Phelan is my 5th child. I'm pregnant again by Mr. Burrage. And what, to go through the same thing? I'm 5 months pregnant as we speak now.
She trapped me, Your Honor. She trapped me with this one.
Things get awkward fast. Stephanie's admits she was with another guy, but says it ended before Phelan was conceived. Burrage isn't buying it, thinking he might not be the only possible dad. The audience practically yells at their TVs, trying to solve this like a crime drama. The tension here could power a whole city.
Have you ever had a sexual relationship with this other guy? So you have. What he's saying is you've had a sexual relationship with this guy. For some reason, you're still around him all the time.
Because
unprotected sex, Your Honor.
Was it unprotected or protected sex?
Unprotected. When I initially when I met Mr. Burrage, that relationship, no, not at the same time.
Who else? It might be another man, baby.
Not
you know they got a name for themselves.
This had everyone rolling their eyes. Burrage says Stephanie's put voodoo on him, earning a look from the judge like, really? The judge points out Burrage signed the birth certificate and played dad. Stephanie says she wanted more than just a fling, and now she feels tossed aside. Finally, the moment of truth is near.
Both of you have stood in court today and testified that you feel like fools.
Yes, Your Honor. A special type of food, though, Your Honor.
What kind?
She put some type of voodoo on me or something, Your Honor.
Acting like you don't care nothing about this girl. You are wasting my time. I'm trying to get to this paternity issue, and you trying to act like you don't care nothing about this girl. Hit it and quit it girl that you don't care nothing about.
The DNA results are the grand finale.
It has been determined by this court. Mr. Burrage, you are her father.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Judge Lake kicks off Butterfield versus Bracknell Dallas, a messy paternity case about baby Kara. Butterfield claims he's the father, while Bracknell insists it's her fiancé Dallas. You can already feel the chaos brewing.
Mr. Butterfield, you've summoned your ex-girlfriend, Ms. Bracknell, to paternity court to prove that you are the father of her 2-month-old daughter, Kara. You say she's denying you are Kara's dad because she's worried her family will be torn apart when the results prove you are the father.
Yes, Your Honor.
Butterfield says he and Bracknell planned for a baby, and during their breakup, she mentioned a gift. He wonders if that meant Kara feeling left out of her birth. The drama's just getting started.
Me and Mrs. Bracknell had a residence together for almost a year. We did try to have a baby together before. She had told me when we were breaking up, she said, "Thank you for the gift." And I said, "What gift was that?"
And then when you found that out, you thought to yourself, was that the gift?
The baby?
Yeah, you thought
my daughter, yes.
Bracknell says she found out about the pregnancy months after leaving Butterfield. She thinks the baby looks like her other kids with Dallas, but Dallas is ready to present some evidence next.
When
When did you find out you were pregnant?
Honestly, I didn't find out until, I'd say 3 months after I did move out of his house. I was having irregular periods, so I just let it go for a minute. I'm not really a doctor person.
So what you're saying is, when this relationship ended, you didn't know you were pregnant?
No.
But once you found out you were pregnant,
How could you not? You're not having periods.
Dallas brings out a calendar, claiming Bracknell moved in with him when Kara was conceived. Butterfield claps back, insisting he was still seeing her. The mystery deepens.
So this calendar outlines the date when the relationship with Mr. Butterfield and Ms. Bracknell. Kara was conceived in mid-September, and she was born in June. And she ended the relationship with Mr. Butterfield at the end of August. There's no way Mr. Butterfield is Kara's biological father.
Yes, ma'am.
Dallas declares Kara his daughter, no matter the DNA results. Butterfield insists he'll step in if she's his. The room is tense, with emotions ready to burst.
Have you ever considered how you would react if, in fact, Kara is not your biological child?
You know what, Your Honor? I'm gonna love her the same. She's gonna be my little daughter. I'm gonna raise her my life. Nothing's gonna change. I love her to death, just like I do now. He's actually made our family stronger.
That's good. I'm not trying to get her back. I'm just trying to be in my daughter's life.
No, you just have a...
Butterfield found out about Kara via a Facebook post with someone else holding her. He accuses Bracknell of hiding it, but she denies it. The back and forth doesn't seem to end.
The only time that I actually ever found out that you guys were even pregnant, that's a Facebook post that they posted on that the baby was even. That's before I even knew.
It says, this little girl is ready.
Yep, that little girl is ready right there. And then I also, the only thing I got was a text message from of a friend saying of her sister holding my daughter.
Butterfield accuses Bracknell of cheating and even leaving him on his birthday. She denies everything. The tension rises as they prepare for the next round of accusations.
She cheated on me on my birthday.
I did not cheat on you.
She was gone with her ex on my birthday and then come crawling back after that.
She was gone with Mr. Dallas or somebody else?
Somebody else. There could be more than one person that she's been with.
It's not true, Your Honor.
When I found out about it, I messaged her mom, let him know I was coming. I blocked, obviously, on their
That you were coming? Let's explain that text message.
You guys even got together.
Butterfield insists Kara is his, pointing out physical similarities. Bracknell counters, saying Kara resembles Dallas and her other kids. Everyone's waiting for the DNA test to decide.
She looks more like me. Even her own family says it. They look like me. She's got my nose, she's got my lips, she's got my brown hair. All her boys are blonde.
Yep, and they've gone brown the older they get.
Exactly.
So you are convinced, Mr. Butterfield, this is your daughter?
Oh, I'm 100% convinced.
Judge Lake asks if Dallas would stay if Kara isn't his, and he says yes without hesitation. His devotion is clear, but the DNA results will soon shake everyone.
So therefore, if in fact Kara is not your biological child, will you be able to continue this relationship?
Oh, yeah.
You will?
Yep.
Okay. It has been determined by this court, Mr. Butterfield.
What did I tell you?
With me, in my home. She lives with you now? Whoa!
Temporarily.
Because by God's law.
It don't have nothing to do with that.
My son loved her and that baby. And if there was anything in this world that I could do.
Like I said, I do not just say this is my nephew. If you go on my Facebook, his pictures are everywhere. That's not it. I'm not just saying that this is not my brother's baby. I want to make sure. You see how my aunt is looking? How she is crying? My whole family is like this. Because if I have doubts that is my brother, baby, I still want to be there.
Okay, buckle up, because this is one wild start. She's got major doubts about this whole thing and is ready to clear her son's name. You won't believe the twists that are coming.
Ms. Beversdorf, you have opened your case against Mrs. James to prove that her deceased son, Daryl, is the biological father of your 4-year-old son, Dakari. You say that once you prove paternity, Mrs. James better accept you both or she will never see Dakari again.
This part is heavy, but you gotta hear it. Ms. Beversdorf's really feeling the sting of rejection, and she says it's hurting both her and her son. Next up, Mrs. James drops her side of the story, and it's, let's just say, intense.
It's the whole denial thing that's affecting my child and me. They don't accept him, they don't accept me. I'm just ready for him to have acceptance, love. I want it to be real, not fake. And I just know once I get these test results and everybody will really know the truth. I want him to know and to really have that is his father. I never want him to doubt that.
Oh boy, here we go. Mrs. James brings up some major suspicions and is not holding back. Ms. Beversdorf is like, no way, I was faithful. But Mrs. James isn't buying it, and you'll want to hear her next accusation.
You say the doubts were brought because of Ms. Beversdorf?
Because of the relationship that they beheld in the time that he was with her, they always fighting, her seeing other people in between the breakup.
Nobody has proof of that, though. I've never been seen with anybody else.
But when you were living in the house with us,
anything.
you're gone 2 weeks.
Just when you thought it couldn't get messier, Mrs. James throws in another bombshell. But Ms. Beversdorf is holding her ground, swearing she knows exactly who the dad is. You'd think that'd be enough, but oh no, there's more coming.
And I'm like, where's Kaylee?
No,
like,
I was gone 2 weeks.
Where?
My
With someone
sister,
else?
at my sister's house.
And when my
Wasn't with
son came
anybody
to
else.
your house, she came outside to talk to him, but she wouldn't let him in the house, and she made him leave. That was my...
Do you remember that incident, Ms.
No.
Beversdorf?
I know who my baby dad is.
How long were you together, you and Mr. Stevenson?
4.5 years.
Now, here's where things get really awkward. Still, Mrs. James is far from convinced, and her next point is even spicier.
The next week she came back, Your Honor, and now they're telling me that she was pregnant. And you want me to say, well, okay?
I was already pregnant when me and him split up for the 2 weeks.
But I mean, respectfully, how does Ms. James know that?
You and him then had a fight. She leaves for a couple of weeks, come back. Next thing I know, her and my son sitting in my kitchen telling me she's pregnant. And I'm looking like, by who?
The drama keeps climbing as the judge asks why Daryl didn't sign the birth certificate. Things are getting tense, and Mrs. James is about to turn it up even more.
Did he sign the birth certificate?
No. When the nurse came into the hospital room, he was at home, taking a shower, getting clothes. He only left the hospital for maybe 2.5 hours.
For the 2.5 hours he left was the one time came in with the birth certificate for him to execute?
Yes.
Mrs. James isn't done yet, and now she's accusing Ms. Beversdorf of ducking out of DNA tests. Mrs. James talks about trying to get a test done after Daryl, but Mrs. James swears she tried, and this whole scene is just one back and forth battle of who said what.
Now I have tried to get DNA 3 times.
She never tried 3 times.
Yes, I have, Your Honor.
Get no DNA
because she
test.
never shows up.
She never
What
met
happened?
me nowhere.
I didn't have to meet you nowhere.
She
I
never
told you
called,
what
she
the
never
place
said
was.
anything.
Ms. James, take me through each time. You say 3 times.
Yes, Your Honor.
Things are about to get even messier as Mrs. James remembers a second DNA test attempt that ended in chaos. Ms. Beversdorf cuts in, claiming she didn't know anything about this plan. Mrs. James is relentless, setting the stage for even more accusations ahead.
Tell me about the second time you requested a DNA test.
She never requested it a second time.
On a Monday, over the weekend or whatever, this particular second time, I asked her, hey, let's go to legal aid, help us, somebody to get us DNA so we can get the Social Security started. We're supposed to do the test like Tuesday or Wednesday. I didn't see her till Friday.
Ms. Beversdorf is getting fired up now, saying she's absolutely sure Daryl is Dakari's dad, and she's fed up with Mrs. James doubting it. But just when it feels like they're going in circles, here comes a jaw-dropping new reveal.
And so you have no doubt in your mind Mr. Stevens is Dakari's biological father.
Well, I do.
Not one doubt. Well, that's why we're here, because she does.
We surely are.
We didn't get to the 3rd time.
And
When
it's
is
the
this
same.
year,
Why didn't she
Your
get
Honor?
a contract with you? Why didn't she write you? Why was it all me? So determined to get a DNA test.
Ask her when did we go to the Social Security office together.
Brace yourself. Mrs. James drops a bomb by admitting that Ms. Beversdorf and Dakari are actually living with her right now. But wait, things are about to get even more complicated as Mrs. James explains why she wants the DNA results.
She lives with me in my home.
She lives with you now? Whoa!
Temporarily.
Because by God's law.
It don't have nothing to do with that.
My son loved her and that baby. And if there was anything in this world that I could do.
All right, here it is, the life-changing answer everyone's been waiting for.
The percentage of relatedness between Mrs. Jacqueline James and Dakari is 99%. You are related.
Whoa, this is already bonkers. Ms. Chmielewski says she had a 5-year fling with Georgie, who sadly passed in a motorcycle accident, leaving behind their son Xavier. Get ready, this family mix-up is only just starting to heat up.
Ms. Chmielewski, you say you had a loving 5-year relationship with the defendant's son Georgie, who unfortunately died in a motorcycle accident. You claim the defendants initially accepted your son Xavier, but now need proof that they are Xavier's grandparents.
All right, buckle up. This story just keeps getting wilder. When Judge Lake asks about her connection to the defendants, Ms. Chmielewski says her son needs family because he already calls Georgie's mom Nana. Things are starting to get seriously tense, and you can feel the awkwardness in the room.
My son needs his family. He calls her Nana, and she's been in his life. We need answers. He has nobody.
Okay, let's keep it real, please.
Take me to the day you found out Georgie passed.
I was devastated, heartbroken, confused.
But why? I just making me understand one thing.
This part is totally eyebrow-raising. Mr. Mr. Long straight up says he doesn't believe this whole 5-year relationship thing and claims he's never even seen her at their house. Trust me, this story just keeps getting more tangled and confusing.
5-year relationship?
Why don't I know about you?
Never heard of her.
I've never seen you at my house.
Did you ever ask
What a
Georgie
girlfriend.
why you haven't introduced me to your parents?
No, because we were just friends. It was like a sexual friendship that we had for.
So
I've
how
known
did
Georgie
you
for
find
5
out
years.
he passed away?
Yeah, no matter who we were with, we still had sexual relations.
You think this can't get crazier? Think again. Mrs. Brown says that 2 years later, a friend told them Xavier might be Georgie's kid, so she finally decided to dig into it. The crowd is definitely on edge, wondering where this is all going next.
What had happened was she says that this baby's Georgie's. 2 years passed. The only reason why I pursued this is because a friend of Georgie's told him, you need to find out if this baby is Georgie. So it's other people in the neighborhood must be saying something because he came to me after 2 years. He brought this to my attention.
It's like a ping pong match of feelings at this point. Judge Lake asks why they waited so long to get a DNA test, and Ms. Chmielinsky explains she and Georgie tried to do a home DNA test but couldn't afford it before he died. The stakes keep rising as everyone realizes how messy this could get.
Because you feel like they don't
you
know?
Want it to be George. She wants it to be Georgie.
He and Georgie was doing a home DNA test a couple months before he had passed, and we couldn't come up with the money. After, I think it was like 5 months, then he had passed away. So then that's when I went to the...
How old was Xavier when Georgie died?
He was 2 weeks before he turned 1.
Plot twist. Just when you thought things couldn't get more tangled, Ms. Chmielinsky drops the bomb that there's one other possible father, a guy who was tragically eliminated when she was pregnant. Courtroom can hardly believe this new twist, and everyone's ready to see what's coming next.
It can't be.
So there's one other man besides Georgie.
No.
Did you ever tell the other guy?
He had passed away when I was 5 months pregnant. He had got murdered. A family member of mine had contacted his family. They did not respond. Xavier turned 2, and they said if I come up with the money, then they'll do the test.
It's heating up, and we're talking major drama now. Ms. Chmielinsky says she tells Xavier that Georgie is his dad, showing him videos and calling him daddy. This is getting deep, and everyone's wondering what the DNA test will reveal.
Ms. Chmielinsky, when you talk to Xavier about his father, he's 2 now. Do you talk to him about his father? Who do you tell him his father is?
I tell him Georgie's. That he watches his videos, and I say, you know, that's daddy.
He calls him daddy.
Because either way, Georgie told me no matter what the results were when he was alive, that he was going to be in his life.
And now for the part that had everyone saying, wait, what? Mrs. Brown brings up this wild ghost video that Ms. Chmielinsky showed her, where Georgie's spirit supposedly appears. You can feel everyone wondering, did she just try to prove paternity with a ghost?
What about the video?
The spirit video. What
video you showed me.
So now tell me about this video you mentioned.
This video is when me and my friends were sitting in the car.
She's trying to convince that there's a video with a spirit of Georgie in the video.
Because I feel like he is
this the video? Hold on.
It's time to bring out the big guns. Judge Lake knows they're all waiting on the edge of their seats, so she reminds them they need this test for Xavier's future. This is the moment the whole room has been waiting for.
You understand, Ms. Chmielinsky, even if out of the kindness of her heart, even out of her grief, she says, just have the baby call me Nana. And the real truth is you don't know for certain. I have the results, and we can all find out for certain right now.
Boom, here comes the jaw dropper that leaves everyone in shock.
The percentage of relatedness between Ms. Brown and Mr. Long and Xavier Chmielinsky is 0%.
Get ready, because this starts off intense and only gets wilder. We're barely a minute in, and already both sides look like they're about to throw down, and it's only getting started.
Ms. Cameron, you tragically lost the love of your life 3 years ago and find yourself standing before me fighting to prove that he is your child's biological father. Furthermore, you claim you desperately need to determine paternity so that you can file for the death benefits to support your family.
Talk about family drama. Ms. Melvin goes into how her whole family is totally freaked out and upset by what Ms. Cameron's doing. With emotions running high, it looks like this family feud is only going to heat up from here.
I'm speaking for myself as well as my family. Disturbed us all. My mom would have liked to be here today as well, but very distraught. She just couldn't face it to come. Just the whole situation of losing my brother as well. We lost him, and just the whole situation of her getting pregnant, it just doesn't add up.
You don't think this child is his?
I don't think it's his.
And now we're hitting scandal territory. It's a major bombshell, and you can can feel the drama rising, especially as Ms. Cameron tries to keep her cool with Ms. Melvin's doubts piling up.
During this time, your brother's in a relationship with Ms. Cameron. You know about her, right?
Correct.
And so you still feel like she's trying to get something that isn't entitled to her?
Well, there's a couple things. He had came to me, it was a month, and I work an urgent care and I see a lot of stuff. So he told me, I said, are you sure he's like, man, I haven't done anything. I loved her.
This is one of the saddest and most intense parts so far. The whole courtroom feels the weight of her loss. But as sad as it is, the big paternity question is still hanging in the air, making everyone wait for more.
Ms. Cameron, you said he passed away when you were 12 weeks pregnant.
Yes, and we did not know the sex of the child.
Had you told anyone?
Yes, I told my best friend April, I told my mother, and I told my father. I don't know who he told, but I know that's the 3 people I told. Said wait for a couple days to make sure because it was a home pregnancy test that we took.
Just when we thought it couldn't get more complicated, here comes the timeline drama. With dates that don't seem to match up, Ms. Cameron is in for more challenges as they try to piece together what really happened.
After, so she's pregnant, I was taking her to her appointments.
He was my
and I brought calendar to show you some things from when we went to the appointment on June 28th. So from June 28th, with her due date of her supposed to be getting pregnant, this would have been when she got pregnant. And my brother was not even around because me going to an appointment with her and
you
getting
went to the
due
doctor
date.
with her on June 28th?
Yes.
And the doctor said she's 6 months pregnant?
Yes.
Things take a wild twist with this sign from beyond moment. It's a surprising, heartfelt moment, but Ms. Melvin isn't impressed, and it's clear she's still ready to throw down with more skepticism.
I have an ultrasound picture right here. I know this might sound crazy, but I posted it on Facebook. Okay, this is his face, like we're looking at each other. If you look in the eye, that is Jackie. Look at that bald-headed, and look at the bald-headed in the eyeball. And actually, there's another face right here that looks how fat Jackie's face was.
Cue another shocker, the mom's statement. Ms. Melvin brings in a signed note from her mom claiming she saw Ms. Cameron sneaking into a car with another guy before she got pregnant. With family members coming out with more accusations, the paternity mystery is only getting more tangled.
There was a time which I have a signed statement from my mom because they live next door to each other, like creeping around the corner to get to a car which was with another man.
I was in love with Jackie. I would have never cheated on Jackie.
And it says, I am testifying that I do not believe Malachi Rathard is my grandson because I know Ms. Cameron cheated on my son shortly before she got pregnant.
The twists keep coming as Ms. Cameron's best friend steps up to defend her. But Ms. Melvin's not convinced, and the whole courtroom is on edge, waiting for those DNA results.
That Ms. Cameron was cheating with this other guy?
No, Miss Melvin, she was not cheating. This is my best friend. It's been my best friend for 16 years. Date did occur. She came to me and she told me because she felt so guilty about it. Hung out, talked, went to the movies.
But how do you really know she didn't have sex?
I can only go off what my best friend has told me, and she's never, that to my knowledge, has lied to me before.
Here comes the moment of truth, and everyone is holding their breath.
It has been determined by this court. Miss Duhamel is related to Malachi Rathard.
Thank you! Now do you believe me? I was being honest with you.
All right, buckle up because Ms. Kiles is bringing the drama right away. And just wait, because Ms. Light's about to drop some major accusations.
Ms. Kiles, you have opened your case to prove to the defendant that her deceased son, James, is your 14-month-old daughter, Ava's biological father. You state that you know the defendant is in pain due to the loss of her son, but so are you.
Ms. Light comes in swinging, calling Ms. Kiles a liar and saying she can't trust her one bit on this whole James is the dad story. And get ready, because what she says next will hit you right in the feels.
Ms. Light, you say Ms. Kiles is a pathological liar, and you claim that as much as you would love for a piece of your son to be here, you don't trust that baby Ava belongs to him.
Oh man, tissues out. Judge Lake asks Ms. Light if she loves Ava, and she breaks down, calling Ava her heart. Next up, she'll explain why she's so suspicious.
Ava's 14 months old.
Correct.
Have you formed a bond with her?
Yes, that's my heart. My son was raising her. If she wasn't with my son, she was with me. But
the doubt is still eating away at you.
It's killing me. It was just a lot going on.
Get ready for some soap opera levels. Ms. Light recalls a time when James called to connect with Ava, but some random dude picked up and said he was Ava's dad. And as these two moms keep going, the room's about to get even more heated.
He came to me so many times. Her, after he moved her to Oklahoma and got everything furnished, another man answered the phone and tried to claim to be Ava's father and be in her life now and all this other stuff.
That's why. So another man answered the phone and told your son, Ava's father, and I'm in her life now.
Things are messy as Ms. Kiles talks about drama over who could come into her house, a big point of tension when she and James were still together. And believe me, the room's about to get real heavy with the next part of her story.
You were having relationship issues in terms of boundaries. Take me to the point at which Ava was born. Was Mr. Miller with you at the hospital?
No, it was just me and my 2-year-old daughter.
Did you call him to say baby's being born?
No, he would have been there. That's something he would have never wanted to miss.
And this next part's like something straight out of an action movie. Ms. Light describes how James got shot while Ava was in the car, and somehow, miraculously, a bullet missed Ava by just inches. And Judge Lake, she's about to dig into the real deal with James's fatherhood.
All I know is something happened, some girls arguing, and another guy came and shot my son. And the girl tells me that all she could do was pull him into the car and drive off. And they kept shooting, so I know it was God, but I don't know what stopped the bullet hole from hitting my grandbaby other than God. Because it was a bullet hole that either the door or her car seat stopped it from hitting her.
Now, it's time for some heartfelt family talk. Ms. Light says her family took in Ava like she was totally one of their own, and you won't believe what she suspects next.
And so your son was raising her. He was her dad. She was in the car with your son.
Yes, just came and got her from me.
So you all were raising this baby. Like, this is your biological grandchild, this is your son's child, and he had her name tattooed on his face.
Ava.
Did he ever tell you that her legal name was Skylar?
No.
Ms. Light is practically crying as she talks about how James would buy all of Ava's essentials, even asking his mom to do her hair for special events because he was so proud. But wait till you hear what she says next. It's a plot twist.
He did everything for his baby. Cash, milk, everything for that baby, everything. For Memorial Day, he asked me, he brought her clothes and stuff over there. Mama, can you do her hair in a couple of ponytails? Because he didn't allow nobody to touch her hair. Couldn't touch them curls. And she hung out with Grandma. She was with me.
All right, here's where things get weird. Judge Lake asks about another guy who Ms. Light says looks kinda like James, and apparently this dude was seen with Ava. And let's just say, things are about to get even more intense.
And you believe she has a different name because another man is her biological father?
Yeah, I think it's possible. The situation where she said it never happened, where some man answered the phone, some tatted over his eyes.
And so you felt like the guy looked similar to your son?
Somewhat, not as handsome, but...
Emotions are sky high as Ms. Light explains she's trying to confirm Ava's paternity to honor her late son and make sure Ava gets the family name. Hold tight, the DNA results are about to hit.
She didn't have to get that baby away because that baby would have been and is well taken care of. I just want that to be my grandbaby so we can do the right thing and get her name what it's supposed to be, Ava Jashay Miller. And that meant so much to my son, and that's why I know it, because I lost a daughter and her name Ashaya.
Judge Lake gives Ms. Kiles a final chance to share anything new, but she's cool and calm, saying she's already told her truth. What's coming next could change everything.
Ms. Kiles, I'm about to go to the results. Before I do, I just want to make sure that there is not any other piece of testimony that you've left out that you would like to share or you feel like you need to share.
No, Your Honor. I said my truth.
I think it's time we get the results. Jerome?
Here it is, the moment everyone's been waiting for.
It has been determined by this court. The percentage of relatedness between Ms. Light and Skylar Ava is 99%. You are related.
You wouldn't believe this one, folks. It's like a soap opera right from the start. The audience is locked in, and you know things are about to get messy with both sides ready to rumble.
Ms. Mayo, you're here today because you filed a paternity suit against Mr. Brown, who you claim is your 2-month-old fraternal twins, Chloe and Carter's biological fathers. You say when today's results prove your case, you want him to pay you $1,000 for half of the child rearing expenses.
Yes, Your Honor.
This backstory is bonkers. How did they get here? Mr. Brown says he hasn't paid a single dime because he doesn't think he's the dad, claiming she trapped him, whatever that means. This was no ordinary friendship, and with every new detail, it just gets crazier.
Mr. Brown, is that true?
Yes, Your Honor.
Why is that?
Because I don't believe they my children.
I don't know why you feel like that, and you know they're yours.
For one, I feel like she trapped me.
I never trapped. How did I trap him? I didn't want to have no child with you. So I wish I would have never got pregnant.
Why was you messing with me from the beginning? Why was you messing with me from the beginning?
Because at first we was friends. Why you putting on the show? Before any of this happened, we was friends.
Here's where the story goes off the rails a little more. This is truly some high-level drama. Judge Lake's eyebrows raise as these two argue over who said what. If you thought things were tense before, Just wait.
We had a talk. I told her to go get on birth control.
You never told me that.
Okay, we go from the birth control. One day, I'm at her house, we just kicking it, you know what I mean? That she can't have no children. Her last child was never supposed to be here. How the doctor told her that she would never have children again. When she presented me with all this, I feel like I'm safety net. I got a safety zone, like, okay, she can't have children.
Now it's time for Mr. Brown's very interesting reasons why he thinks he's not the dad. Judge Lake gives him a side eye as he tries to explain his eyebrow suspicions.
So what is your doubt?
They don't look like me for one. I got very distinct features.
Everybody in America knows that when newborns are born, they don't look like no one. Wonder what this is.
As you can see, I got very thick eyebrows. This is a distinct feature
They
of
were
me.
just born. Look at Chloe's eyebrows. Look at Chloe right now.
This me, thick eyebrows. This them.
This is getting good. This part is both sad and awkward because Mr. Brown doesn't even know that one of the twins, Chloe, was born deaf. This whole scene is intense, and it really feels like Judge Lake is about to give him a serious talking to.
Okay, he don't even know what's going on with Chloe. Chloe was born deaf. He don't know that. He don't know nothing. My child can't hear. Man, you can at least be there. I'm here with them 24/7 by myself. My child is deaf. Can't hear nothing at all. And you ain't doing nothing. When you find out today, what, like, are you gonna help do this? I gotta take sign language class. Do you know, like, man, you don't know. You don't understand what I go through.
Get ready to feel broke just listening to this part. It's all about the bills. The price tag makes everyone stop for a second, and you can see Mr. Brown start to sweat as it's starting to feel very real.
Okay, that's my expenses, like from their car seats, they strollers, clothes, bills, everything.
And you've been doing this by yourself?
Yes, ma'am. There's formula. They both on different milk.
So we've got clothes, baby needs, milk, toiletry, totaling $2,000, which is why you're suing Mr. Brown for $1,000 because he would be responsible for half if he's in fact the biological father.
Yes, Your Honor.
It's the big reveal, folks, and everyone is on the edge of their seats. Seriously, it's intense.
It has been determined by this court. Mr. Brown, you are the father.
Oh, buckle up, because this case starts with fireworks and finger pointing from the get-go. Meet Ms. Everyone in the courtroom is watching, wide-eyed, as this emotional train pulls out of the station.
Ms. Sherman, you claim the defendant is taking advantage of your grieving aunt emotionally and financially by claiming your deceased brother is her child's father. You need today's results because you won't allow your aunt to support a child who is not your brother's.
Plot twist alert. Ms. Costello stands up, and she's not here for Ms. Sherman's accusations. With every word, you can feel the plot thickening like gravy at Thanksgiving.
My aunt threw Marissa a baby shower, supports this baby financially, as in buying his diapers, his clothes. If he has a doctor's appointment, she is there, and that's not right if she doesn't know the baby is his.
Your Honor, that's his family. Erica was there with me at the hospital when I had the baby, and when Ryan was born, she saw the crown of his head and said he is a Sherman.
Now, Ms. Sherman's aunt is on the stand, and oh boy, she's letting her emotions pour out. Meanwhile, Ms. Sherman's skepticism is about to hit a serious test.
When I seen the crown of that baby's head, I'm like, and I just started crying. I said, that's my baby. It don't replace him, but having him in my life, it helps me deal with him not being here. I need him to be Ryan's, because I can't say what will happen if it comes back that he's not, because that baby means so much to me.
Ms. Sherman's doubt is no joke. It's like she's building a wall, one doubt at a time, while the room waits to see who will break first.
For one, Your Honor, my brother told me that he doubted the baby because he wasn't for sure if Marissa was actually pregnant, and then he wasn't for sure if the baby was his. I'm not saying even that this is not my brother's baby. I love him, but I'm not finna get attached to a baby if I don't know, because I can't do that for me. I can't sit here and be like, that's a part of my brother, and then it end up not. But when we were in college, Your Honor, they were both unfaithful.
If you thought things were messy before, wait until you hear about Ms. Costello's love life with Ryan. It's a tangled web of love, hurt, and mistrust, and every detail adds another puzzle piece that makes everyone squint just a little harder at this story.
I found out I was pregnant in the middle of March. At that point in time, I contacted Ryan and I told him, hey, I think I'm pregnant. And at that point in time, he was like, well, is this my kid? It was a slap in the face because I know he had room for doubt, because when we broke up in the beginning of January, I started to talk to somebody else. He started to talk to somebody else. After me and the other guy had intercourse with each other.
Tensions are sky high as Ms. Sherman gets feisty with Ms. Costello over her dating history. It's a ping pong of accusations until Judge Lake steps in with a cool it, ladies, and shifts the focus back to the facts.
You just said you were sleeping with somebody else.
I know, but at the same time, I knew for the fact Ryan was the very last person that I slept with.
I never said Ryan was a saint. Y'all was both sleeping with other people. How you got no doubt you were sleeping with somebody else the next week?
You look at my son and you look at Ryan Jr., resemblance. When you look at Ryan Jr.'s baby pictures and you look at my son.
He doesn't look like my brother.
With emotions in the danger zone, Judge Lake takes the reins. This calculator just added a whole new layer of maybe to the mix. The tension is now so thick, you could spread it on toast.
So the best way to figure this out to go to my conception calculator.
Baby Ryan's birthday is October 27th, 2017.
If I put that birth date in, October 27, 2017, and press calculate, calculates the window of conception as February 1st to February 5th, and the date of intercourse between January 29th and February 5th.
If you were hoping things would calm down, nope. Ms. Sherman and Ms. Costello are practically nose to nose, clashing over who has the right to claim this child. But let's be real, the emotions are on full display, and everyone in the room can feel it.
Like I said, I do not just say this is my nephew. If you go on my Facebook, his pictures are everywhere. That's not it. I'm not just saying that this is not my brother's baby. I want to make sure. You see how my aunt is looking? How she is crying? My whole family is like this. Yep. Because if I have doubts that is my brother baby, I still want to be there.
Now, it's Ms. Sherman's aunt's time to shine, and she drops a little bombshell of her own. With every word, her belief in this bond grows stronger, and the drama in the room only deepens.
After my nephew died, and she was honest with me because she know me. I don't pick sides, and baby girl just tell me the truth. I know exactly when she said she had sex with Ryan. Then she told me she had sex with Ryan. She had sex with the boy at the beginning of January. Used her was she had a period in January, but didn't have a period in February. So she was confused.
Ms. Sherman is now wrestling with the possibility that her brother may not be this child's father. It's a gut-wrenching moment, and her raw emotions are setting the stage for what's coming. And now, the big moment.
Unfortunately, Ryan passed away before baby Ryan was born.
Yes.
Have you even considered that if this baby is not your biological family member, what will you do?
Honestly, I don't know. I have a bond with that baby.
The DNA test results are in, and bam!
It has been determined by this court. The percentage of relatedness between Ms. Nalencia Sherman and Ryan Costello Sherman is 97.8%. You are related.
Yes! Yes!
After she got pregnant, a letter she sent them.
Wait a minute.
I sent the guy a letter telling him that I was pregnant, letting him know what was going on.
This is exactly why young people don't have no business making babies. You can't even tell the story to make no sense.
He was telling people I was just getting fat. He was like, she just eats a lot of fast food. Everybody was rubbing, my friends were rubbing my stomach. I'm showing ultrasounds to people. He's like, don't believe her, she's just fat. I'm going into labor. He's like, no, you're not.
What kind of denial is this? Mr. Lee, you taking denial too far.
Exactly.
Things kick off with some serious drama right from the start. Both sides are revved up and ready for a showdown, and you can just tell it's about to get messy.
Mr. Portis, you and your mother have petitioned the court for a DNA test because you are certain you are not the father of the defendant's daughter, Ava. Say your life has been ruined and need today's paternity results to set the record straight.
Here's where it gets even weirder with court dates and missed tests all over the place. Judge Lake breaks it down, letting them know that by not showing up, he automatically became the dad. Talk about drama.
This started about 2 years ago. I started paying child support, $75 for this baby, and I never knew if she was mine or not. We never took a DNA test.
You paying child support for this baby?
Yes, thousands of dollars.
But you say you've never had a DNA test?
No.
And that's because you had a court date.
And he missed. He missed the court date.
So you were named the father by default.
Yes.
Yep. This is when the tea gets spilled and everyone starts pointing fingers about secret relationships. You can feel the trust issues growing, and we're just getting started.
We started talking first and then eventually started dating. It happened fast.
At what point did you find out you were pregnant?
A few months later.
But when she got pregnant, we stopped talking. So like, after the fact that she got pregnant, she had hit me up and was like, hey, I'm pregnant.
We were definitely together. I called you after I got the text.
No, we weren't, because I found out that she had another boyfriend.
Okay.
Oh boy, now there's a mystery letter to her ex. Mr. Portis says Ms. Middlebrooks sent a letter to her ex telling him she was pregnant, which makes the timeline even messier. With all this back and forth, we're on the edge of our seats, waiting to see where it leads next.
How did you know that?
Because of, after she got pregnant, a letter she sent them.
Wait a minute.
I sent the guy a letter telling him that I was pregnant, letting him know what was going on.
This is exactly why young people don't have no business making babies. You can't even tell the story to make no sense.
Things get intense as Mr. Portis talks talks about not being there for the birth, and there's a lot of he said, she said going on. Judge Lake tells him he has to be responsible if he's the father. And boy, you can feel the tension building.
Were you at the birth, Mr. Portis?
No, I was not, Your Honor.
He had the opportunity to, but he wanted nothing to do with her.
Did you go to doctor's appointment?
No. He had nothing to do with the pregnancy.
She wasn't communicating with my family at all. Every time she would talk to us, she would be disrespectful.
Or any of that. She was not even
That's the only
talking
time she would talk to us.
Who was with you at the birth?
My ex was. He stepped up.
Now comes a plot twist. The ex was there the whole time. Ms. Middlebrooks explains her ex was super supportive and was there for Ava's birth, pretty much stepping into the dad role. It's only heating up, and we're not sure who's gonna end up stepping up here.
Oh wait,
but she was messing with the ex though.
Yes. When I had her, yes, he was there.
So he was away, and then by the time you had the baby, he was home.
Yes.
But you gave
and you
my son
say he
opportunity.
stepped up.
Yes.
What?
Son wanted nothing to do with me
holding
or
her
the pregnancy.
and all that.
You do not know. You're not your son.
I'm
not communicating with you. I'm communicating with your son.
I'm his mom though.
You not being truthful.
The family feud kicks into high gear, with both sides going back and forth. You can tell everyone's wound up, and we're all wondering if they'll be able to hold it together.
Middlebrooks,
Disrespectful.
I realize that you may not agree with Miss Trent, but you have to understand that when you are dealing with someone who's your elder, right or wrong, just keep your mouth shut.
That doesn't give her.
Hold on. I am going to be very clear.
Just when you think it can't get wilder, here comes the ex, calling Mr. Portis. With every twist, this case just keeps getting deeper.
Her ex that she was dealing with had contacted me on Facebook.
Okay, and what did he say?
He was basically saying like, yo, Brian, Jasmine, does she have you on child support and stuff like that? And I'm like, yeah, she does. She's been having me on child support. He was like, well, that's crazy because I'm taking care of her too. So it's just like an imbalance here.
The courtroom is hit with a surprise as Ms. Middlebrooks admits she wasn't sure about the paternity herself. The tension is so thick you could cut it with a knife, and you can tell we're close to the big reveal.
It has been determined by this court. Mr. Portis, you are the father. I told you.
Buckle up, because Ms. Shands kicks things off by saying she just has to prove Mr. Hollis is her baby's dad. But wait, you won't believe Mr. Hollis's response coming up next.
Ms. Shands, you appear in court today because you are devastated that your first love and the person you lost your virginity to is now denying your 15-month-old son, Aiden. You say once you prove to the defendant that he is the father, you hope you two can finally be a family.
And here's where it gets real messy. Mr. Hollis and his mom say Ms. Shands is a pathological liar and that they already know who the real dad is. It's like a soap opera, but hold on, it's about to get even juicier.
Mr. Hollis, you are here with your mother and you both testify that Ms. Shands is a pathological liar and you both don't believe you fathered her son, but claim to know who did.
Just when you think things can't get wilder, Ms. Shands admits she had a fling with one of Mr. Hollis's friends, which led to a whole mess in their friend group. The audience is gasping, and Judge Lake is just shaking her head. And trust me, there's more to this.
Me and his was close friends once before.
But
she used to come back and tell me that Mr. Amir, he was messing with one of my friends. We both were young at the time. So,
both y'all young now?
Yeah, we still are young. But I thought it was cool to go mess with one of his friends because he had slept with one of mine. We both had made a mistake.
No. Brace yourself for this one. Judge Lake asks Ms. Shands if she used protection with Mr. Hollis's friend. And Ms. Shands says, nope, not at all. And yep, there's still a lot more to spill.
You have revenge sex with one of his friends. And did you use protection?
No.
And then how many times did you have sex with this friend of his?
Multiple times.
But were you also still being intimate with Mr. Hollis?
We had broke up. When me and his friend had an affair, we wasn't together. We was not together at all.
An affair.
And then it gets even trickier as Ms. Shires about finding out she was pregnant and how she first told Mr. Hollis's friend, not Mr. Hollis. The lack of communication just adds to the mistrust. But trust me, the surprises aren't over yet.
So you find out you're 5 months pregnant. What happens? Who do you tell?
Well, first I told his friend, because that's the person I was going with at the time. We ended up going out.
When she was going with my friend, she was still sneaking around with me anyway because I felt like he did it to me, so y'all together, I'm finna go and do what I gotta do.
Yeah.
Things get awkwardly dramatic here. Only Mr. Hollis's friend was at the birth, and Mr. Hollis didn't even know she was having the baby. The misunderstandings keep stacking up, but believe me, this story's got even more layers.
When you give birth, who was with you?
The friend was with me when Aiden was born, in the hospital, in labor.
Sent my mom there because I knew there was a possibility that my son could be the dad as well.
He favored my son when he was born.
I wasn't never invited. Like, anything I ever found out about the baby, I found out by myself. Like, I didn't even know she was in labor. I had to find that out.
And now it's gone public. Ms. Shan says she was hurt when Mr. Hollis wrote a song that accuses her of cheating, and the song went viral. As if that's not enough drama, more about their beef is about to hit the fan.
Like, when I heard the song at first, especially the first song, I forgot how it started, but he put my name in it, the friend name in it, but he erased it and changed it to a whole different, and then he came out with the I
And we have some of the lyrics to that song. And I can't be cuffing Columbus hoe. About a year ago, I was in love with a thought.
Ms. Shands talks about how Iden seems to have a real connection with Mr. Hollis, not the friend, and you can see Mr. Hollis's face soften as he talks about bonding with the baby. But wait, you'll want to hear what happens when they get the DNA results.
But every time he be with the other guy, he don't really be stunned him. He never showed the attention that he showed to Amir that he shows to the other guy.
And Miss Hollis, you say you tried to back off, but I see in this picture, you got the grandma face all over.
Finally, the DNA test results are in, and surprise.
It has been determined by this court. Mr. Hollis, you are not the father.
From the start, you can tell this is about to be wild. Ms. Brewington steps up, saying Mr. Lee is definitely her son Giovanni's dad, and is dodging paternity just to skip out on child support. This is just the beginning, and things are about to get way more heated.
Ms. Brewington, you are here to prove your 3-year-old son Giovanni is Mr. Lee's biological child, and you claim Mr. Lee has been a father to your son since the day he was born and is denying paternity because he wants to avoid paying child support.
Ms. Brewington is 1,000% sure that Mr. Lee is the dad. No doubts, no questions. She didn't expect any drama when she got pregnant, but Mr. Lee's got a different story, and he's about to let it fly.
So, Ms. Brewington, you claim you are 100% certain that Mr. Lee is the father.
I am without a doubt 100% certain that he is my son's father. Not only was I only sleeping with him, we were actually working on our relationship. So when I found out I was pregnant, I didn't think it was going to be a shock or a surprise or anything like that.
You won't believe this level of denial. Mr. Lee says they weren't even cool like that when Giovanni was conceived. Judge Lake looks at him like, really? In the same bed, same house, but nothing happened? But Brewington isn't buying his story, and she's ready to prove him wrong.
At the time that Gio was conceived, we were not having no type of intercourse. We were not cool at the moment.
Your Honor, I was living with him. We were living in the same household, in the same bed.
Were you living in the same house?
Around the time, yes.
But you weren't together?
Exactly.
So were you sharing a bed?
Yes, ma'am.
And fluid.
No.
Clearly.
This moment is hilarious because Ms. Brewington finds out she's pregnant totally by accident. But if you think he's about to believe her now, you're wrong.
Okay, I found out that I was pregnant. I actually went to the doctor to just re-up on my birth control. I didn't even realize that they said that they had to do a pregnancy test before they could go ahead with the birth control. So I went ahead, they did a pregnancy test. I told him, he did not believe me at all. He went out and got 3 pregnancy tests, made me take all of them. They were all positive. And he was like, well, that's not my baby.
The way they argue over the dates is just too much. She's fed up with his cluelessness, but Mr. Lee is standing his ground like, no way, not my kid. And you can tell this argument isn't ending here.
So you seem so certain, Mr. Lee.
I do, because I'm gonna explain it to you, Your Honor. How she said her birthday is the 2nd of February.
It's not.
Her birthday's on the 2nd of February.
My birthday's on the 1st of February. My birthday is on the, how you gonna tell me what day I was born? I was born on the 1st of February.
He said it's 2nd.
Yeah, look, it's close.
It gets even crazier. Ms. Brewington says Mr. Lee wouldn't believe she was pregnant and told everyone she was just getting chubby. But of course, Mr. Lee has another excuse up his sleeve.
He was telling people I was just getting fat. He was like, she just eats a lot of fast food. Everybody was my friends were rubbing my stomach. I'm showing ultrasounds to people. He's like, don't believe her, she's just fat. I'm going into labor. He's like, no, you're not.
What kind of denial is this? Mr. Lee, you taking denial too far.
Exactly.
Just when you think he's out of reasons, here comes Mr. Lee acting interested the second he finds out it's a boy. But trust me, his next excuse is even wilder.
As soon as he found out that my son was a boy, he's like, oh, that's my boy. I love him. That's my son. I need to be there.
Was Mr. Lee there?
He came after I had given birth because he had work. But he showed right up. He actually didn't even, they asked about the birth certificate and everything. He signed the birth certificate. did. He named my son. Like, no, I'm not letting you give my son no dumb name.
This next part takes a real twist when Mr. Lee says Ms. Brewington's friend told him she knew the real dad, which got him doubting even more. At this point, this story couldn't get any messier, or could it?
One of her friends, a good friend of her, actually told me that I wasn't the father. She told me that she knows who's the father.
I told him that because she wanted to sleep with him.
I'm still talking.
I actually caught them sleeping together.
What? This is the part where Ms. Brewington tries to prove things by showing baby pictures to compare Mr. Lee and Giovanni. But everyone's just waiting to see if the DNA will tell the real story.
So you're saying this is a picture of Giovanni on the left, and this is Mr. Lee as a child on the right?
Yes.
And you say you see a definite resemblance
between them two, yes.
They're light skinned.
You really don't believe he's yours now that he's here in the world?
No. I don't really see too much of me. Maybe, yeah, like I said, we got curls, but...
It's nuts to see Mr. Lee admit he's been around as Giovanni's dad, paying child support, all while saying the kid isn't his. The DNA test results are about to bring everything out into the open.
You're obviously responsible as it relates to child support because you signed the birth certificate.
I'm always there. I've never not been there. So he calls me daddy.
Calls you daddy.
Yes. Yes.
With all of that,
yes,
you still don't believe he's your biological son?
No.
Your Honor, that is his baby. And I can't wait, because the devil is a liar and this is Lucifer, so stop. No.
Well, you might be the devil then.
This is the big shocker.
It has been determined by this court. Mr. Lee, you are not the father.
Told y'all.
Hold up.
I already knew it. I told you.
Here we go. Buckle up because this case is wild from the get-go. This intro sets up what's about to be a bumpy ride, so stay tuned.
Ms. Hooker, you are here with your mother because you say the defendant's son, Mr. Abraham, fathered your 10-month-old daughter, Kanaya. You say that Ms. Baker and her family's denial of this child has caused you pain, and you are here for an apology and to prove her son is the father.
Oh boy, here come the doubts, and Ms. Baker is not holding back. And trust me, things are only heating up from here.
Ms. Baker, you and your daughter are here today to represent your son, Mr. Abraham, because tragically, he was killed 3 months after the birth of this child. You say that before his death, your son expressed great doubt that he was the father of Ms. Hooker's baby, and you are here to put the lies to rest.
Ms. Hooker's got feelings, and she is laying them all out for the court. She also points out that her baby looks just like Keyshawn, so what's the issue? Emotions are running high, and you can bet there's more drama on the way.
I'm just sad sometimes. I try to deal with it now. Like, I really don't care no more. Like, that's how I feel. I don't care anymore. I don't care who feel nothing about my baby. I don't care. It just seemed like everybody else was looking upside my head like I'm an animal. Like, every time I'm sitting down doing something, they looking at me like I'm just outcast of the group. She looked like me, so why is it a problem? That's why I just say I don't care about nothing.
This is where things get real serious, and honestly, a little sad. But don't get too comfortable because we're diving right back into the mess.
My son was on vacation, and we kept hearing that Denia was pregnant, but then when we finally found out for sure, he told me, he said he wasn't the only boy that had messed with Denia. And he made me promise that we was gonna get a blood test, and things didn't go the way we thought they were gonna go.
And get ready for Miss Hooker's turn to clap back at those rumors. Just when you think it might calm down, the tension spikes again.
You know, cause that's why it's funny, because how can somebody tell me who I was sleeping with? Nobody in the room was in the room with me when I was sleeping with somebody.
Keyshawn only denied the baby when him and my daughter was arguing. Other than that, I have pictures with him laying on her, getting mad at what he tell his mother or nothing like that. He held the baby, kissed the baby, and loved the baby. We just need to get the results for Miss Carolyn.
Ms. Baker wants to clear her name, but you can still feel the tension brewing. But it doesn't look like the back and forth is ending anytime soon.
I'm not trying to do anything against anybody to make her feel bad. I ain't never been denying them. We never had a problem. She come stay the night when she feel like it, her and the baby, everything. They was just with me at my birthday dinner. Even though my son telling me I have never did or said anything to make her feel no bad.
Now we're talking about an obituary feud. Yep, you read that right. It's a serious hit to their relationship, and the room just gets tenser.
One of my family members was in the obituary, but my baby one. Y'all can keep my family member out the obituary.
Okay.
She said one of her family members was in the obituary.
But there was no mention of Kanaya. Was this intentional, Miss Baker, Miss Bland? Was this something that...
like this, Judge. She went and finished up without me. Kanaya did get left out. So did my grandmother, and so did one of my sisters.
All right, here it is, the big DNA reveal we've all been waiting for, and it's a bombshell.
It has been determined by this court. The percentage of relatedness between Ms. Baker, Mr. Abraham, and Kanaya Abraham is 0%.
And
This is why right here.
Miss Baker, are you all right?
Right from the jump, things are totally bonkers. This little detail throws everyone for a loop and gets Judge Lake and the whole audience sucked in. And trust me, it's about to get a whole lot weirder.
2 brothers could be the father. 2 brothers with the same name could be the biological father. This is a lot.
It is.
It really is.
When he came to me and he told me that he was my dad, I went to family members and I asked them, did you know that there was a possibility? They've all told me they believe Steve is my dad.
This next part cranks up the weight. What? Factor big time. But buckle up because his next proof is next level.
But Michael Shockley, you still believe you are Desiree's biological father.
Yes, Your Honor. She's always been my little girl, so she'll never not be my little girl. But like, I have all girls and he's got all boys. All boys and one girl. That's it.
Okay, now Michael tries to back up his claim with a family chart. Just when we think it's all laughs, though, Michael's daughter steps in to give her 2 cents.
You submitted a chart.
You like my chart?
So, Mike, you say you have all girls.
Yes, ma'am.
3 girls and Desiree's right there in the middle.
Yep.
Steve, you have all boys.
Yes, Your Honor.
5 boys.
And one daughter.
He's serious about that one daughter.
And here comes Crystal, Michael's daughter, adding even more emotion to this family mix-up. Just when you think it's all family love, things take a sharp emotional turn.
Question, have you ever had any doubt in your mind? Your whole life growing up, you knew Desiree to be your sister?
Yes, our whole life we fought as kids over who was more of a daddy's girl. She'd be like, oh, you're mama's girl. No, I'm daddy's girl. And you know, we went back and forth. We grew up with him. He's on our birth certificates. He's got our names tattooed on his neck.
Crystal doesn't hold back and drops a hard question. Why did Steve wait 2 whole decades to say anything? Her question definitely stirs things up, and it's Desiree's turn to let out her feelings next.
So to me, with this going on, I've always questioned why did he never come forward before? Why wait all this time? It doesn't make sense. Why would you wait 20 years to come up and say something? Why? That hurt us more than anything. If you were, why did you wait?
But why are you blaming me? I mean, like I said a while ago, I would have told her years ago if they hadn't kept her from me.
Desiree's story about how this mess affects her whole family is truly tough. And boy, the next part is about to make this even sadder.
And now you have to live with the fact that you don't know that.
We've never been really close. That was the way that we were close. That it was the connection that we had. You know, we could always say that our Bubba, yeah, he's our Bubba, but we're closer. We have that bigger connection because we do share the same mother and the same father. So I feel like in a way it kind of broke a connection that we had.
Judge Lake is here with her wise, comforting words to help Desiree through this emotional ride. But just wait until science gets pulled into this family drama.
It's heartbreaking to the point that I feel like I've been lied to my entire life. I've been like my entire first 20 years as far as who my dad is has been one big lie.
Who do you call dad?
Steve.
Oh, you do?
Yes, ma'am.
Who do you believe is your biological father?
In my heart, I feel like Steve is.
Out of nowhere, Judge Lake brings in Dr. Baird, a DNA expert, to explain the who's the dad science. Now, everyone's holding their breath as they get closer to the big reveal.
Difficult thing to do genetically to sort out which of the 2 is the true biological father. However, what we do at DNA Diagnostic Center in order to exclude one of the 2 individuals. And in this particular case, that's exactly what we did. We tested almost twice the number of samples of DNA that we normally test in order to exclude absolutely one of the 2 individuals.
Even with the stakes this high, Desiree tries to keep things hopeful by saying she wants both brothers in her life. But just as things start feeling cozy, her mom jumps in with a tearful confession.
Regardless of whichever it turns out is my dad, I still want a relationship with both of them. Just one is my uncle, one is my dad.
And you deserve that.
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Shockley, Steve Shockley, if the results show you are not her biological father, will you regret ever mentioning this to her?
No, Your Honor.
Desiree's mom, Ms. Grove, comes in with a teary apology that makes everything feel 10 times more emotional. And now, the moment we've all been waiting for is finally here.
I can't explain it. I wouldn't like to be her dad because they've always had such a strong bond. You know, her growing up, you know, I can't change the past. I'm sorry for a lot of things, but in my heart, I feel like Mike is her dad. I just want Desiree to get the answers that she needs.
I'm glad, because I want you to get the answers you need.
Everyone holds their breath as Judge Lake reveals the DNA results, and the room is totally silent.
It has been determined by this court. The biological father is Mr. Steve Shockley.
Yes!
Baby. This one's a doozy as Ms. Hines spills the beans on their Christmas Eve hangout. But buckle up because this back and forth gets even juicier.
Christmas Eve, we had sex in the car. After that, I told him that I was pregnant.
he basically said that he gave me a Christmas gift because he didn't give me anything for Christmas.
More than likely, I always be with my family on Christmas because we have like
This is
traditions.
Christmas Eve and not Christmas. We agreed to be with our family on Christmas.
Things get even crazier when Mr. Jackson claims Ms. Hines was shacking up with another dude. The story's already wild, but wait, Mr. Jackson's about to accuse her of even more sneaky stuff.
I'm disagreeing on both behalves because she was living with another male, so it's kind of like hard to like judge her because like.
So while you all were in this relationship or just having sex in the car, she was in a relationship with somebody else.
Yeah, it was a relationship. She had another male living with her.
Mr. Jackson doesn't hold back, saying he snooped around her place and found a box of condoms. Just when you think that's the end of it, Mr. Jackson has even more to say about her behavior.
And it was a time that like I was snooping around her house, and because she had said it was taking some stuff to store it. But I seen a box, and in that box it was some condoms in the box, and I thought she was like.
So you thought at that point that man and her were having sex?
Yes, Your Honor.
Your Honor, that is true.
Now it's Mr. Jackson's turn to act like a spy, talking about all the times he caught Ms. Hines texting other guys. And he's got a whole lot more drama up his sleeve.
And I was on vacation one time, like I was snooping around and I got a phone and I seen like she was texting numerous people. So I had snooped and went through one of the texts and I seen like she was texting this guy and he was like calling her bouncy.
You're doing a lot of snooping.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're snooping, why are you even with her then?
I've just seen so many things that seem shady.
Here's where it gets really spicy. Mr. Jackson fires back, saying her messages with her ex were making him insecure. If you thought that was the end of it, nope, it's about to get more complicated.
He's calling me whore or hoe, whatever, sleeping around, but that's what he's been doing since we got together.
So from the looks of these messages, it seems like you entertaining these women.
The reason why I did what I did because like she had messages in her phone from her other fella that was talking about working on their relationship.
Ms. Hines' best friend steps up and wow, she does not hold back. The court is not impressed with Mr. Jackson's support and we're all waiting to see what excuse he'll come up with next.
I know she's been pretty much taking care of him by herself with my assistance, her mother, no help from him. I do most of the babysitting.
This woman is
He's
irrelevant.
paid me twice for babysitting. $10 a piece, both times. I'm more of a father to this child than he is.
When Mr. Jackson admits he didn't feel a bond with Matthias because the baby didn't look like him, you can almost hear everyone's eyes rolling. The judge doesn't let that slide and things start to get real as Ms. Hines speaks from the heart about her son.
Mr. Jackson, did you go to any doctor's appointment?
Yes, I did.
Yes. Were you there at the birth?
Not at the birth, but I came after the birth.
And when you saw the baby, what did you feel?
I really didn't feel a connection because like he didn't have really much of my features and I seen that he had like a blondish orange hair and that's just not my family,
Okay,
so
but
I had
you
a
didn't
reason
feel
to
a
doubt right
connection
there.
from the beginning.
Yeah.
Why didn't you take the paternity test when she offered to pay for it?
Ms. Hines gets emotional as she explains that Matthias deserves to know his family, especially since he doesn't have other boys in his life. This tugs at the court's heartstrings, but before anyone can get too sappy, the judge turns to Mr. Jackson for his big response.
My son needs a father. He needs to know who his people is, where he comes from. It ain't just me. Like we have no boys in our family. Like he got little cousins he could play with. Like after today, he still don't have to be in his son's life. It's fine, but I need him to know and his people to realize that you do have a son.
Judge Lake asks Mr. Jackson what he'd do if Matthias turns out to be his son, and Mr. Jackson hesitates, saying he'd want to be involved if he is the dad. It's a big moment, but with the DNA test right around the corner, things are about to get intense.
If, in fact, Matthias is found to be your biological child.
My intentions, I would love to have a son because I have a daughter already. I don't really get to spend much time with her, and because she's out of the city, and like at least try to make things work out with Rachel. But these accusations and the things that I've seen in the past was holding me back.
This is the bombshell moment.
It has been determined by this court. Mr. Jackson, you are Matthias's father.
At least, like, if I can get a hug.
First of all, why would I have sex while my daughter was in the ride with me? The chair moves. Come on. I'm not that dumb.
Yeah, let me get my point straight. Then why did my 7-year-old daughter come tell me straight to my face that you're jumping up and down some dude's lap?
I was told that her ex was in the bed.
While you're out fishing?
Yes.
Who told you that?
A family member.
How would they know who I had in my bed?
They seen him.
Yeah, coming out of the house because you and him are friends, and you know
That's not her.
everything.
That's not
You
him.
know that he was at my house,
It is
even
not
when
him.
you were
I'm
there
not talking
too.
about him.
She gave me, actually I have a list of men. It's about 6 or 7 guys.
67?
About 6 or 7.
I said, wait a minute now. She gave you 6 or 7 names.
Yes, Your Honor.
Of possible
father? Yes, Your Honor. One of them, we had to do a DNA test, and turned out he wasn't my father.
This revelation sets the stage for a tense hearing. Mr. Connor is up in arms, convinced he's not the daddy of the child in question, highlighting how this mix-up has turned his life and wallet upside down, including a stint behind bars for missing child support payments. But wait, there's more! Ms. Wallace's clapback is just a moment away.
Mr. Connor, you say a one-time fling with the defendant turned into more than 15 years of child support payments and even jail time for a child you have never believed is yours. You need today's results to prove you are not her child's father.
The plot thickens. Emotions start to boil as Mr. Wallace admits his trust in his mom, but can't shake the doubts recent actions by Mr. Connor have stirred up. Mr. Connor lays it all out, detailing the injustices he feels he suffered, ramping up the emotional intensity of the hearing. And guess what? It only gets juicier from here.
Mr. Wallace, you say you trust your mother, but acknowledge Mr. Connor's recent actions have given you doubt. Mr. Connor.
Today's results are so important, Your Honor, because I need to undo a terrible injustice that's been inflicted upon me and my family. It's caused a lot of problems, financially especially.
Yikes. Talk about a tough break. Mr. Connor paints a grim picture of his financial woes and the domino effect of his jail time due to unpaid child support, including losing his home and job. This saga has seriously shaken up his life, but keep your eyes peeled because the confrontation that's coming up next is a doozy.
It's times when I can't afford things. I've even been to jail. 2005, November the 5th until January 2006. There was no home for me to go to. I lost my car, I lost my job. I was 36 years old. I had to start all over. It's making my character look real bad, Your Honor. Know for a fact that she know he's not mine.
Fasten your seatbelts. It's getting bumpy. A fiery exchange erupts where Ms. Wallace accuses Mr. Connor of trying to dodge child support while he vehemently denies being the father. The courtroom is charged with emotional accusations and finger-pointing about responsibilities and past actions. And trust me, the tension is far from over.
Your Honor, he just wants off child support. For one, it was more than just a one-night fling.
You know Jeffrey isn't my child, and I have you on Facebook.
You can quit pointing your fingers because I'm an adult.
No, you're not. What kind of adult?
I'm 42 years old. I raised my 3 kids by myself.
You won't believe your ears. Mr. Connor swears the encounter with Ms. Wallace was a brief fling that definitely didn't lead to conception, challenging the story she's been telling. He's adamant it was a one-and-done deal. But hold on, because Ms. Wallace's memory of events paints a whole other picture.
Can you tell me about that? Do you remember this relationship, encounter?
There wasn't a relationship. I met her through a family member. We all used to hang out a little bit here or there in the fall. We came together one time, and up on penetration, she changed her mind, and that was that. I never knew anything about Jeffrey.
This twist might just make your jaw drop, contrasting sharply with Mr. Connor's version. Ms. Wallace reminisces about what she remembers as a year-long romance filled with plenty of encounters, complicating the story even further. She even brings up the moment she found out she was expecting. And just when you thought it couldn't get any more tangled, the explosive confrontation that follows will have you on the edge of your seat.
Remember him and I being in a whole year relationship, and we had sex numerous of times, Your Honor. And he did know. Well, I got sick. How I found out that I was pregnant. I got sick. My mom taking me to my doctor's appointment, and that's when I found out I was 2 months pregnant. I called you and I told you. Back then we had pagers. Shut your lying butt up.
The drama doesn't stop. As the hearing unfolds, we dive into the nitty-gritty of Mr. Connor's sparse interactions with Jeffrey and the ongoing squabbles over paternity and child support. This segment lays bare the complex personal and legal entanglements involved. Keep watching, because the bombshell verdict up next will have you saying, no way.
And you agree to that, Miss Wallace?
Yes, ma'am.
That happened. Your Honor. And during the time from 3 to 4 months, 5 years old, did you all ever have conversations about Jeffrey at all?
Yes, me and her had a couple of conversations.
He told me that he wanted to be in his son's life. I told him I did not want to be in a relationship with him, you know.
You're a professional liar.
Here it comes, the big reveal everyone's been waiting for.
It has been determined by this court. Mr. Connor, you are not the father.
I already knew it.
Judge Lake dives into the drama, chatting up Ms. Brown, who's suing her mama for a cool $2,200 because, get this, she doesn't know who her daddy. The courts sniffed around and found a dude who might be Pops. And now, they're all about figuring out if they should send him for a paternity test.
Ms. Brown, you're here today suing your mother for $2,200 for emotional distress. You say she's caused you by not knowing who your biological father is. Now, the court has located one possible father and must determine if there is enough evidence to order a paternity test.
Ms. Brown spills it all about taking her mom to court, saying it stings less than her wonky childhood. She throws some serious shade at her mom for playing peekaboo, basically never being around and keeping Dad's identity a big ol' secret despite her constant nagging.
So, Ms. Brown, how does it feel to be suing your mother?
Not as bad as it felt growing up. My mom she wasn't there as much as she should have been there. I asked her on several occasions, do you know who my father could be? My mama just said, I don't know. Every time I asked, it was, I don't know. She gave me, actually, I have a list of men. It's about 6 or 7 guys.
Ms. Brown brings out a list, yeah, a literal list of 6 or 7 potential daddies. Plot twist, one guy already flunked the dad test, DNA test, that is. They're zeroing in on Mr. Clifton Smith, who's also in the courtroom, sweating bullets probably because he hasn't been tested yet.
She gave you 6 or 7 names of possible fathers.
Yes, Your Honor.
Are they ranked in order of probability?
No, ma'am, they're not, Your Honor. One of them, we had to do a DNA test. Turned out he wasn't my father.
And is he listed on this?
Yes, ma'am.
Which one is he?
He's the first one.
The man in the Navy, Lee.
Yes, Your Honor.
Not the father, proven by a DNA test.
Shantia lays it all out about how rough her life's been, from bouncing around foster homes to quitting school to nurse her sick grandma. This whole not knowing dad business really did a number on her.
I was in and out of foster care on 3 different occasions. Foster care wasn't so good, you know. I had 4 brothers and a sister. I didn't know where they were. They got split up too. My grandmother got us back. She got sick. I missed 3 months of school. I was in alternative school. I got kicked out because my grandma got sick and I had to take care of her.
Mom, Yolinda Overstreet, gets back with some real talk about her struggles with the mom gig. She admits she was pretty much winging it, overwhelmed by raising 6 kids and just not nailing it.
Ms. Brown Overstreet, how does it feel to hear your daughter speak with such pain in her heart?
I feel like my daughter hates me because of the fact that I wasn't always there and I didn't have a handbook on how to be a parent. I had my kids young and it was 6, I have 6 of them. So it wasn't like it was just one child. I had a hard time trying to be a mother. I didn't know how to raise my kids, and when I lost custody of them, I tried my best to get them back.
He waltzes into the courtroom and shares a wild first encounter with Ms. Brown, thinking she might be his daughter and all that jazz. Despite the mix-up, he's all heart, hoping he's the dad.
We go back a long time. So when I called her, she was like that she was trying to find the father of our daughter. I said, wouldn't it be funny if I was the father? And she was like, oh yeah, I forgot all about you. So when I pulled up, I get out the car and my cousin pointed her out. So I was looking at her. So she came up and I said something to her first and she was smiling at me like I was trying to flirt with her or something. So I'm like, oh, whoa, hold up here. I might be your father. You busy trying to flirt with me.
Mr. Smith tells a tale of a gnarly injury that had doctors saying he might never be a dad. So the plot thickens with whether this guy could even be the father. The court calls in a doc to drop some science on us.
Okay, my reason is when I was 10 years old, I hurt myself really bad. Well, I was folding it back into a couch. My underwear got hooked on a spring and I yanked it, but it went in a lot more of my underwear and just ripped everything open.
Oh, goodness. That was the problem. It was horrible. So I didn't remember even having sex with him. So it wasn't my fault that I didn't remember. He probably remembered it, but I didn't remember it.
Dr. Gator, cool as a cucumber, explains how Mr. Smith might still shoot and score as a dad despite his earlier mishap, thanks to how nature works. Looks like the court's all set to make Mr. Smith take the big daddy test.
It's absolutely possible, in my opinion, for Mr. Smith or someone with a testicular injury such as him to father a child. On average, a man releases anywhere between 50 million and 1 billion sperm at a time. So based on the numbers, it's definitely possible for someone with a testicular injury to still father a child as long as the swimmers are normal and healthy.
DNA results are in, and guess what?
It has been determined by this court, Mr. Smith, you are not Shantia's father. I'm sorry.
Ms. Hernandez drops a bombshell that her estranged hubby started denying their 3-year-old munchkin, Ligana, only after eyeing a younger chick. This accusation frames the emotional and legal stakes of the proceedings.
Ms. Hernandez, 4 years ago, you met and then married your much younger but seemingly perfect man. You say your estranged husband started denying you and your now 3-year-old daughter, Liana, only after he found another younger woman.
Mr. Hernandez claps back with an accusation of his own, claiming Ms. Hernandez played house with other men while he was off playing sailor on a fishing boat. This introduces the core conflict regarding the paternity of Ligana and their crumbling trust.
Mr. Hernandez, you claim that during the marriage you often spent weeks at a time on a fishing boat for work, only to find out upon returning home that your wife had other men in and out of your house while you were at sea. You and your girlfriend are here to prove Liana is not yours.
We find out Ligana is 3 and missing her daddy big time, which which highlights the emotional toll this mess is taking on her.
It's heartbreaking. It's hard for me to put my daughter down to sleep. All she does is says, dad, 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 all day.
How old is she?
She's 3. She'll be 4 in December.
But the man you believe is her biological father is denying her.
Yes. I don't know what to tell her, Your Honor.
Do you know that this young child is calling out for you, Mr. Hernandez?
No, Your Honor.
We dive into how Ms. Hernandez met Mr. Hernandez, showing us the start of their whirlwind that quickly went from sweet to sour.
How did you all even meet?
I was at a friend of mine's house. He comes up about an hour later walking up to my friend's house.
Okay, so he came over your friend's house.
Yes.
And you met him.
Yes.
Did you immediately hit it off?
Yes.
So Mr. Hernandez, you liked her, she liked you, you all started a relationship.
Yes.
Later on got married.
2 years later.
So you got married 2 years later.
Yes.
Mr. Hernandez starts doubting baby Lagana is his, all thanks to neighborhood gossip about Ms. Hernandez's ex snooping around their home while he was away.
I was told that her ex was in the bed.
While you're out fishing?
Yes.
Who told you that?
A family member.
A family member of yours or hers?
Mine.
How would they know who I had in my bed?
They seen him.
Yeah, coming out of the house because you and him are friends. And you
That's
know
not her.
everything.
That's not
You
him.
know that he was at my house
It is
even
not
when
him.
you were
I'm
there
not talking
too.
about him.
The hospital scene turns into a reality show when family members allegedly tell Mr. Hernandez he's not the father right after Lagana's birth.
What happened at the birth?
2 family members came to the hospital and told me that's not my kid.
Which family members of whom?
Hers.
Hers?
Who?
Your mother.
Your mom? Oh, wait.
Because my mama doesn't like you.
Okay then.
They argue over why Lagana didn't get Mr. Hernandez's last name, suggesting Ms. Hernandez had her doubts from the get-go.
You want her to have your last
I
name.
literally argued with her at the hospital.
No, you didn't.
Then why did I was gonna sign the paperwork to do it for you on the birth certificate and you said no?
Why did you sign it when you knew I had put her last name as Lamont? You shouldn't have signed it.
Judge Lake calls out the inconsistencies in Ms. Hernandez's tales, making everyone in the courtroom scratch their heads.
This testimony you are giving right now is faulty, right? It is not adding up to me. And I need answers. I need to understand from you. Is there any other possible father for your daughter besides Mr. Hernandez?
No.
The DNA test results are announced.
It has been determined by this court. Mr. Hernandez, you are the father.
Told you.
Buckle up, folks. Mr. Nicholas kicks things off with a bombshell, doubting he's the dad to little Naomi and Nathaniel because, well, Mrs. Nicholas has been a bit too social. He lays it all out, accusing her of sneaky shenanigans with just about everyone, from strangers to his office buddies. The crowd's gasping like they're watching a soap opera, and you can almost hear the popcorn crunching. Wait till you hear what's next. It's a doozy.
You have brought your wife to court today. You claim you cannot be the father of 4-year-old Naomi because your wife is a habitual cheater and she cannot be trusted. You say you have shocking evidence of your wife's outrageous sexual infidelity, including encounters with strangers in public places.
You're not gonna believe this one. Mrs. Nicholas steps up, admits she goofed big time, but hey, she's seen the light, found religion, and is ready to turn over a new leaf. She's all about proving Mr. Nicholas is the daddy and fixing this hot mess of a marriage. Her plea has the courtroom holding their breath, wondering what's next. Hold on to your seats because this ride's just getting started.
Mrs. Nicholas, you actually admit you've made some mistakes in your marriage, but you claim you have now turned your life around and you are a church-going woman who deserves another chance. You state that once these DNA tests prove Mr. Nicholas is the father of all of your children, you are hoping to repair your marriage.
Oh boy, here it comes. Mr. Nicholas drops a juicy tidbit about a rather awkward encounter at his sushi job. Picture this. He's slinging sushi rolls when a random dude claims Mrs. Nicholas is turning the bathroom into her personal love den, stuck at work like a fish out of water, unable to confirm the sordid tale. Just wait, next twist is even wilder.
Let me tell you this first of all. The sushi spot I used to work at, it's a hot tub. People come in and then out. Some guy comes up to me and tells me straight up to my face that my wife is performing oral sex in the bathroom. Yeah.
Wait a minute, you're at work, the sushi restaurant, and a guy just comes up to you.
And tells me that she's performing oral sex in the bathroom.
Hold up, rewind.
During your shift, and then you did what?
I continued working. What am I supposed to do? I couldn't leave my job.
Talk about awkward. Mr. Nicholas tells a tale taller than a roller coaster about his wife supposedly getting frisky on a theme park ride while their kiddo was right there. Mrs. Nicholas calls bull, arguing who in their right mind would pull such a stunt with a kid tagging along. The plot thickens, and you just can't make this stuff up. Up next, it's more he said. She said with an extra helping of scandal.
She went into the Transformer rides with my 7-year-old daughter. Tell you that straight up. Tells me straight to my face that my wife was having sex in the ride.
First of all, why would I have sex
asked why my daughter was in a ride with me. And the chair moves. Come on. I'm not that dumb.
Yeah, let me get my point straight. Then why did my 7-year-old daughter come tell me straight to my face that you're jumping up and down some dude's lap?
Here we go again. Mr. Nicholas isn't done yet. He's got more dirt. This time, he's dishing about his wife and his pizza place manager cooking up more than just pies behind his back. Mrs. Nicholas admits she was looking for a slice of attention he couldn't serve up. But don't go anywhere, because there's more saucy secrets coming up.
For example, the pizza joint I used to work at. She was having an affair with my manager.
Oh, yes. I'm being honest with you. Yes, I did have an affair. On top of that, every time I try to talk to you, you're just not there for me.
Yeah, just because he's been buying you diapers, all that.
Diapers? Yeah, every time I ask you, you just take off. You spend your money on something else. That's what you do.
And then
yeah, because I'm stressed out because
ask his co-worker to get you some diapers.
Grab your popcorn. This is getting good. Mr. Nicholas, deep in thought, wonders aloud if chatting up another lady about his woes counts as stepping out. The judge lays down the law. Yep, that's emotional cheating, buddy. Mrs. Nicholas owns up to her past flings, hoping to clear the air. You think this is juicy? Just wait till the next part.
Can I ask you one question? Is it cheating if I were to go kick it with another female and just talk to her about my problem? Is that considered cheating?
There's emotional cheating too, Mr. Nicholas.
I know I've been with other guys, but I'm sorry.
Yeah,
I know I messed up in the past. That's past.
Okay, can you please just explain to me what about the dude you slept with that looked dead on just like me?
Oh, I meant that one.
Oh, it just keeps getting not better.
Get ready for a curveball. The spotlight shifts back to the kids. Mrs. Nicholas is dead set on proving these munchkins look just like Mr. Nicholas, hoping it'll squash his doubts once and for all. The tension's through the roof as they duke it out with words, each hoping to clinch the win in this paternity puzzle. Fasten your seatbelts. We're about to dive into the results.
Do the DNA and prove him wrong, because I'm getting tired of hearing saying that, oh, they're not my kids. Come on, they just look like you.
But so does the other guy you slept with. Do you understand why he potentially maybe could have some doubt?
Because I cheated on him, but all the time when I was
cheating, don't look like me though.
But they look like me, that's why. Come on now.
No, there's gotta be a part of it where the kids gotta look like me.
And here's the tearjerker finale.
It has been determined, Mr. Nicholas, that you are his father.
Exactly, I told you. God.
Right off the bat, Mr. Johnson spills the beans about his mega doubts concerning his fiance's daughter, Camilla, suspecting she might actually be his fiance's ex's kid. He lays it out clear. If the DNA test proves she isn't his, he's hitting the road. No looking back. Grab some popcorn, because this drama's just heating up.
Mr. Johnson, you claim you are here today with a relationship on the line. Now, you are convinced your fiance's 8-month-old daughter, Camilla, was fathered by her ex-boyfriend and not you. If the DNA results prove your deepest fears are true, you say you plan to leave her and never look back.
Now, Mr. Johnson's talking money. He wants Ms. Quintero to cough up $275 for kiddo expenses. Camilla isn't his. He's been playing daddy, but keeps one eye on the exit, just in case. Stick around, things are about to get even juicier.
Mr. Johnson, you're asking the court to award you $275 in back child care expenses. If the results prove Camilla is not your daughter, you'd like Ms. Quintero to pay you back.
Flashback to a rocky romance roller coaster. Mr. Johnson and Ms. Quintero's love saga has more twists than a pretzel. The bombshell drops, she's pregnant, but the timing's all shades of wrong. Mr. Johnson's reeling, and you'll want to see what comes out when they air more dirty laundry.
I say about a year ago, we ended up talking again. She calls me up one day, and she's like, hey, I'm gonna go look for some apartment. You should come with. I was a little busy at the time, so I told her no. I got stuff to do, I can't do it. I called her back later, and she never picked up. She calls me up on the phone and like, hey, I'm pregnant. I was at my brother's house, we were having a little get together, we're drinking, just having fun. I tell her right away, hey, I gotta call you back.
Court turns into a soap opera as both admit they weren't just playing house with each other during baby-making season. Mr. Johnson whips out a calendar, trying to prove he might not be the dad based on the X-File timelines. Buckle up, the next revelations are gonna be wild.
So, during the window of conception, did you have sex with Mr. Johnson and your ex?
Yeah.
Mr. Johnson, when was your daughter born?
My daughter was born November 6, 2013.
What are you holding?
I just had a calendar. It just states when Cammie was born. The 2 months at the top is midway when me and Maria started talking in March, and February was the month when she was with her ex.
Workplace chit-chat turns Mr. Johnson's doubts into a full-blown conspiracy theory about Camilla's real dad. He's thinking of ditching the engagement if the kid ain't his. This roller coaster's got a few more loops. Watch how they handle the next curve.
I'm at work and I have people coming up to me like, hey, your girlfriend was with this guy at this time.
What do people at work know about your business?
I publicly display my daughter, and everybody in our our community pretty much knows Maria was with that other guy a long time.
But I was with him for 3 years and never got pregnant.
Yeah, but it doesn't mean it can't
it's just
happen.
like the time I get with him for about 2 to 3 weeks, I get pregnant, but yet me and you.
Ms. Quintero throws a curveball, accusing Mr. Johnson of only playing the not my kid card when he gets caught flirting. She's calling him out, saying he's got a convenient case of daddy doubt. The tension's thick. You won't want to miss what's tossed out next.
So usually he denies her when we're arguing. That's what I feel like. When we're arguing about him talking to other girls, so are you trying to just push it on me like, oh, she might not be mine because you just got caught talking to another girl?
Oh, Your Honor, it's not like that all the time. I've brought it up.
What is it like?
I brought it up plenty of times. There'll just be times I'm like holding her and I'm just like, man, you just don't look like me.
You're too pretty to be mine.
Finally, the moment of truth.
In the case of Johnson v. Quintero, when it comes to 8-month-old Camilla Johnson, Mr. Johnson, you are her father.
Ms. Webster steps up and drops a bombshell. She thinks Mr. Ware might actually be her dad. Talk about awkward family dinners. She's all in, hoping today's DNA results will spill the tea. Brace yourself because this family tree is about to get shaken up.
Ms. Webster, you recently learned shocking news that Myron Smith, the man you believe to be your dad and who paid child support for you, may not be your biological father. Now you've dragged the defendant, Mr. Ware, to paternity court to prove that he is your father and claim today's results will prove your case.
Ms. Webster gets suspicious thanks to some side comments and a few too many family resemblances. Maybe genetics do tell the truth? This revelation has her rethinking her whole life story, and just wait till you hear what she finds out next. This is gold.
Your Honor, I worked in a beauty salon with some of his relatives. They always kind of had something against me. I heard a relative say that that's not none of your father. I started questioning. I asked my mom, I talked to Mr. Smith, like, why are they saying that I'm not a part of their family? He said, you will always be my daughter. I believe in my heart that you are, and no matter what, you'll always be my daughter.
The plot thickens when Ms. Webster discovers she and the man who's supposed to be her dad don't even share the same blood type. Science comes into play, throwing a wrench into everything she knew. Buckle up, because the roller coaster is just taking off.
I still had doubts. I was a blood donor. We talked about blood types, and I know that the mother and the father of the child will have one or the other. Me and Mr. Smith don't have the same blood type. I was in question again. I'm very curious. I was with my cousin, Miss Smith, and she said, you know, I really believe in my heart that Mr. Ware is your father. You chuckle like him. She said, if I close my eyes and you both chuckle, you wouldn't know the difference.
Here comes a curveball. Ms. Webster finds her supposed dad's family all over her baby book. If that doesn't scream family secrets, I don't know what does. The courtroom's about to get rocked with this one.
There was an address. They had the
relatives of Mr. Ware.
Yes, Your Honor.
Have signed into your baby book when you were born. So, Mr. Ware, you knew of this young woman.
Yes, I did.
But you do not believe you're her biological father.
No, I do not. Because at the time when her mom and I were dating, she was in between two cities, Louisville, Kentucky, and Dayton, Ohio.
Fasten your seatbelts. Ms. Webster goes to church, praying for divine signs about her daddy dilemma, and bam, Mr. Ware pops up right behind her. If that's not a sign, I don't know what is. This moment is packed with emotions, and it's not even the finale.
We went to visit him at his church. I knew who he was, but he didn't know who I was. And knowing who my father is one of them. And I came to the Lord. I went to the altar. They had altar call, and I went up and I just prayed that God give me a sign to reveal. So I'm praying and I'm nervous, but I just felt this energy. And when they asked for the prayer warriors to come out, when I got up, Mr. Ware was standing right behind me.
Mr. Smith steps into the courtroom, adding more spice to this paternity stew. He's been writing checks for child support, but doubts linger. The truth is just a DNA test away. Get ready for the big reveal.
You have been paying child support.
Yes, I have.
But you don't believe you're her biological father.
No, I don't. Miss Webster was born September the 17th, which means that she had to be conceived either late December or January. Right there, she was born September the 17th. Last time I was home on leave was late November. So in order for her to be born in September, she had to be conceived either late December or early January. I was in Fort Hood, Texas.
Ms. Brady, the mom, is up next, and she's sticking to her story that Mr. Smith is the daddy, despite him being hundreds of miles away when the magic needed to happen. What's coming up will definitely throw you for a loop.
Her biological father is Mr. Myron Smith.
He says he was gone. He was serving the time that she was conceived. Is that not true?
Right, but Mr. Smith also came home on leave. Once we got together, Mr. Smith went back to the service, and then I was pregnant. When Mr. Smith called me one day, I said, you know what? I'm pregnant.
Hold on to your popcorn.
It has been determined by this court. Mr. Ware, you are not her father.